And we are live. Woo.
What is happening?
And again, welcome, everybody. Great to see everybody out there. Looks like we got some people jumping in, and you know how it goes. There's always people out there waiting for the show to start.
Oh, yeah.
Downtown Ernie Brown was in here. Hey, Ernie, how you doing? Thomas Littlepage, of course. You always see him. Thank you very much, Thomas. Really appreciate you. Hilljack Catfishing, great to see you. Chad Nolte. Sampy is out there. Hope you're doing well, my friend. I think I said Chad Nolte, and there goes my big fingers hitting the buttons too hard. Who else we got out there?
We have the one and only, the avid fisherman in chat. What's going on, brother? I see Mr. Mike Irvin is hanging out with us. The muskrat himself, Roger, the Mint, Muskrat Adventures. What's happening, buddy? Let's see. We also have Chris, Hooks and Hammocks. Had a good little phone conversation with him earlier. How you doing, buddy? Bumping Mike, Mr. Greenwell. What's happening? I see Miss Betty. All hail the queen.
That's
Betty's
right.
in the house. And then of course, I cannot forget about Dee's husband. He's in there.
Oh, wow.
Fishing with the Chad. What's going on, brother?
And I see, let's see, from there we got see Dale Hayslip out there. Yeah, Dale, I love the Akuma Classics. For that price point, you cannot go wrong with that reel.
Yep.
Awesome reel. Thomas gotten jokes already out there. Hey, Stan.
I figured it wouldn't take him long.
Got Brandon Catfishing Dreams. We got my local friend there, Luther. Great to see you, Luther. Catfishing Dreams is in the house. And oh Lord, trouble's gonna start now.
Oh, hey, the trolls are already here. There you go. I'm gonna give her a hard time. It don't matter to me. I stay in trouble. It doesn't matter. I ain't got nothing to lose.
Oh my goodness, there he is.
Oh, it says Anna driving to DC and listening. Well, y'all be safe. Y'all watch out for them crazy people on the road.
That's right. Safe travels, man. You start coming up the East Coast, and the driving gets worse and worse. So,
well,
hey,
apparently when you come down south, it gets bad too.
There's my granddaughter, Little Smith, Miss Maddie May. Hello, Maddie.
Hey,
how you doing?
What's going on?
Great to see you in here. Okay. Well, today, what we kind of got is just kind of like an open show. Mad Catter Catfishing. Great to see you. Thank you. Wait a minute. Good looking gents. Is there somebody behind you, Creole?
Yeah, it gotta be.
I don't know who he's talking to, but
It gotta be. As somebody standing behind me.
But
I'll tell you.
What we're gonna do is kind of like an open mic. We're gonna have whatever topics you guys want to talk about, catfishing, fishing related, boat, YouTube, whatever. We're gonna have y'all come up. If there's ideas that y'all have for shows, for our shows in the future, something that you'd like to cover on a future show. This is kind of doing like a people's choice kind of show.
Yep.
Got Skip out there. Thanks for coming in, Skip. Your boy Troy. Eddie Gross. People just coming in. Keep coming in. So let's see.
Well, I know one thing. I went ride during the week. Went kind of, I'm sure everybody else does this that lives close enough. But you're gonna go ride, you're gonna go check out the river, you're gonna go see kind of what everything looks like. And I'm pretty sure I have the same issue that everybody else has right now. The river is high. Everything is high. We've got flood waters backing up off the banks. We've got, some small lakes off the banks that are starting to get flooded. And I know some people shine when the water's high. And I know other people struggle when the water's high. Now, Stan, I know as from a bank fisherman's perspective, y'all love high water. because
Yeah.
that is a bank fisherman's time to shine without any doubt, because that high water just wants to push them out.
There we go. That's what I was going to say. It brings that current up close to the bank, brings them fish up in close to the bank, drags all that food off the bank kind of into the river that even if it's not the catfish that are eating that or the bigger fish that are eating that, the smaller fish will get up in there and get a feeding frenzy on the worms. And well, what happens when the bigger fish see the smaller fish feeding? Bam, it's a trigger. So yeah, we love the high water because it brings everything a little closer into reach. So
yeah, that's right. In fact, I already see a question in chat from my boy Bumpin' Mike. See, we're talking about the high water bringing the bait closer, which for a lot of people makes it easier to catch. So I got Mike asking me, what rig do I like to use for a skipjack? Mike, I basically use 2 different rigs to catch my skipjack. The one I use the most, I take 20-pound test fluorocarbon, and I basically tie my own little sabiki, and I'll put 3 or 4 jigs on it. Now, the jigs I like to use, I have the most success with. I know Arky makes them, and B&M makes them now. It's called the Shiny Heinies, the little Shiny Heiny jigs in the white and silver with the little gold tassels on them. For me, I catch more slicker on that all year than I do everything else combined. My only other rig that I'll use is a long sabiki rig with the little white flies. When they're hitting on top a lot, I'll put a big popping cork on the end of that sabiki, and I'll throw it out the back of the boat and just let it hang out back there. And I'll usually pick up some on that sabiki too. But that little homemade sabiki I tie with those Shiny Heinies, that is my absolute favorite rig. A tip on that for anybody tying their own sabiki: always tie a little heavier jig on the bottom than you do everywhere else. That way, when you cast it, it tends not to want to helicopter in the air when you cast it. It helps keep it straight. So if you have all 1/8 ounce jigs, tie you a 1/4 ounce on the bottom. Like I said, a size bigger for that last one. It'll help you out a lot.
And we've got a bunch more people that came rolling in. We got Catfishing Katie Collins, best name in YouTube out there. No, there was more. Mike Kaufman, Mike's Outdoors and Adventures. Great to see you. Great to see you. Mike the Mod Turner, what's up?
That's what I'm talking about.
Said hello to Skip already. And there's our good friend PD Fishing. Great to see you out there. Now I can answer some of that on the slicker too. Or Jack, as the rest of the country call them. We don't have skipjack here, but what we do have here is hickory shad. The American shad and hickory shad, they run up the river every year. Basic difference between a hickory shad and a skipjack or a slicker really is that one is freshwater and it's year-round in the freshwater, and the hickory shad is it migrates up the river once a year for mating. So that's the basic difference. So we fish for them the same way. The Shiny Heinies are an awesome choice. Another one that a lot of people don't think about is Roadrunners. With that, Roadrunners little blade. If you get some of them, some different colors, they are hard to beat for the hickory shad or the skipjack, slicker, whatever you want to call them. The little Foley spoons, that's another really good one. You tie yourself about a half ounce, you call it the swivel.
Yeah.
Where it's got the weight and then it's got a swivel in there, and just a leader back to that one single spoon. And you can chuck the heck out of that thing 3/4 way across the river if you want. So you cover a lot of ground. But yeah, any of those are awesome. Silver, gold, white, green.
And believe it or not, you're talking about casting distance. Believe it or not, even in the boat, I find casting distance is very important because I hardly catch any right close to my boat. It seems like when I try to get my boat close, it runs them off. I've got to throw probably just as far as you bank guys at those slicker to get them as anything else. So just because you're in a boat casting distance is still very important when you're trying to catch them for bait because they are extremely skittish.
And the only other thing I can say about it is just when you can catch them, take advantage of it because. And I think they do myself. I think they freeze better than gizzard shad do.
Oh, they do. 100%.
They don't get as mushy and things. So hey, we have some more awesome people that came in. Polar Bear came in. Take a kid fishing. Amen. Polar Bear. That's the best thing we can do.
Absolutely.
Miss Sharina's keeping it real.
Mm-hmm.
JP3. What is up, JP3, my friend? Country Boy Catfishing. Telly came in. So man, you got the entire crowd is out there. You know,
I'm gonna mute myself for just a second. Give me 1 minute. I'll be right back.
I think I can manage to talk for a little bit. Your boy Troy. So yeah, Creole and I were talking about this before, how awesome it is every night that there's a show on, and if you're doing the show, it's awesome feeling knowing that you're going to get a certain audience at least, and hopefully you start bringing some new people in, and you'll get some from somebody else's channel that start coming over. But having that base audience from y'all is just can't tell you how important that is. Roger, appreciate you putting those out there. Of course, Chad is not going to miss the opportunity to throw this up at us.
Hey, I put that question out myself not that long ago, and I don't know. She didn't like the idea very much. I may have to, I don't know, a couple of margaritas. I might be able to talk her into it, though.
Yeah, it might take a couple more margaritas, more than that, to get Diane to do it. But we'll see what happens. We'll see.
I don't know how much of a catfishing show it's going to be, but it'd be fun to watch.
Oh, well, for those of us that are watching Fishing with the Chad and The Bait Shop, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Always fun.
I was telling Chad the other day that I really look forward to Thursday nights because, you know that you're going to smile, you're going to laugh and have a good time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just knowing that.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's such a big departure from what everybody else is doing. They've got a really entertaining show going on, guaranteed to make you laugh. I mean, and very interactive with the chat and everything. And that's something not a lot of shows are doing right now. So I know I look forward to it. I really do. And
they throw the fishing stuff in there in between. If you listen,
it still manages to be a fishing show through all of the shenanigans. It is still a fishing show. So there you go.
Let's see. Oh, we got saw one ton. Who was it? Uncle Josh? One ton, my brother Uncle Josh. How you doing? Great to see you. Oh, Hook says that is. I don't believe that.
No, Chad just favors the wives.
Hey, well,
and we suffer for it slightly, but you know what? That's okay. That as our sponsors, our wives deserve that moment to make us look bad on camera. There's nothing wrong with that at all. They deserve it. Trust me.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Epic Catfish. Welcome. Yeah, and there, of course, the Bon Peaches.
Bone Peaches. I got a little something coming with that real soon. I have not been ignoring you, Uncle Josh. Trust me. I know. I got you something coming.
Okay, so
Stan, how are y'all dealing with the because I know in the James River y'all have a very similar setup to us. Very high, very fast, very muddy water at this time of year. How are y'all adapting, changing y'all tactics for this time of year?
Well, what's happening here this year that I haven't seen it happen as much as I've noticed this year is it's just been up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yeah. Yep.
Now we didn't get out of the 30s today, I think.
Wow, really?
Maybe 40 degrees all day. And now the rest of the weekend's supposed to be 60, 70. So when you're constantly having those big fluctuations like that, it makes, it does make it tough. But
apparently Mother Nature didn't take her meds this weekend.
Yeah. And
she's off the meds.
The James isn't quite as fast and muddy and stuff as the Mississippi. But the other thing with the James is that it does. I don't know if it's because of it's a relatively smaller river as far as size, because the entire James River is contained in the state of Virginia.
Yeah,
so
it's not that long of a river.
No. And there's some, pretty big, wide open spots, and there's some narrow, like you can cast across it spots. So it does. If it goes up, a lot of times it'll go down as quick as it came up. It so it's constantly changing.
It fluctuates a lot.
Then you got the tidal, so it's on top of dropping waters or raising waters. You got your tide that's constantly coming with it too. So, it's a lot of those. You find out which spots work better for higher water, which spots work better for lower water or less flow. Then you put your high tide and low tide into it. You find your current cover depth, and
yeah.
And it changes with the changing of the waters. So that's the best.
I know for us it's very challenging when the water gets this high, and I don't know how it is in the rest of the country. I don't know. I only know what I, let's say, grew up around here. But around here, our rivers, they're contained by levees, but the levees don't always follow the riverbank. There's a big area out where I fish that the levee is a couple of miles from the edge of where the river is. So what happens this time of year when that river comes up and it floods the banks? It's got a huge area that it's going to put water in that didn't have water maybe until last year this time. Only when it floods, and it floods all these low-lying areas. Well, all of a sudden now you've got thousands and thousands of acres of, woods. Sometimes it's low-lying farmland that's got 8-10 feet of water in it that didn't have water before. So all of a sudden the habitat that these fish can get in, now it's tenfold. Instead of just the normal river, they might have half a mile of water that they can get away from that river if they want to. So it expands into so much territory where these fish can possibly be that it makes it hard to narrow down where we need to be fishing at. And a lot of these areas you're not going to access with a boat because it's literally flooded woods. It's flooded woods, but it's got 8-10 feet of water in it. It's a very challenging situation for me sometimes. When it does that, and I personally, I don't mind high water, but when it's this high, I struggle until it starts going back down. When it starts going back down, I get excited because all these big bayous, all these big drains that come out of these woods in the fields, the fish are going to be right there in the mouth of them, and they're just waiting for all this junk to come out of the woods and the fields, and it makes things fun.
And Fishing with Paula Smith came in.
Paula, what's going on, Paula? I heard a little bird told me that she finally caught a nice fish on her own rod. Now, how cool is that? Okay, to be fishing with a custom-made fishing rod with your name on it.
Okay.
That's right there. I mean, that is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've caught fish before. I've actually made the rod from the blank, and you do that. and then you're on a lure or a jig that you tied. So to catch it on, I know what it feels like to catch on a pole that you made, on a lure that you made, but to have a signature series named after yourself and then to go catch, that's just like
Yep.
boom.
I'm telling you, there is a rule on my Facebook group that if you have a rod named after you, the rules don't apply to you. You can say what you want, you can do what you want, and it doesn't even matter. Rules don't apply. Yeah, Lyle has always said that high water, the higher, the faster, the better. And I think if it wouldn't be for the whole deal with the woods getting flooded, I think I would feel the same way. But look, there's a lot of stuff I haven't figured out yet. You know, I'm still learning all this too. You know, just like everybody else. There's a lot of situations that I'm not comfortable with yet. But hey, getting better and better. We're all students, you know. I mean, you never quit learning. I don't care how long you've been doing this. Never quit learning. Yeah, and the only people that like when the water is up in the woods like that is the guys that set trot lines.
Oh, yeah.
Because they'll string those trot lines right on the edge of those trees. And most of the time they're catching, you know, smaller fish. You know, they're not catching 100-pounders on trot lines, at least not this time of year.
And the limb lines and pole lines.
Yep. That's definitely the time of year for that. No, Thomas. No ice fishing. No. No.
Got let's see, Uncle Jeep is in. Who else? I see Game Time. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate that, Game Time. Mr. Lyle, Catfish Weekly.
Wow,
likes
what's
the
that?
higher water, the higher the better. And Catfish Weekly.
He likes it.
Why is Catfish Weekly stuck in my head for some reason?
I know it's funny because something sounds very familiar about Catfish Weekly that maybe you ought to remind the folks about, Stan. I don't know. What you think?
Oh, yes. I just remembered. Yes, Catfish Weekly. Y'all, this Monday night, truly honored. And, you know, again, you talk about the mind-blowing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Stan 3 and myself are going to be the guests this Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on Catfish Weekly. An amazing show. Just, you know, you talk about the bar for what we try to do with these shows. Well, that's it.
Absolutely.
So to be asked to be on the show, just absolutely amazing. That's going to actually be Stan 3's first interview show.
Wow,
so we're looking forward to that.
Man, that's swinging for the fences first time out, isn't it? That's awesome, though.
He's out in a 24-hour tournament right now fishing. So
that's awesome.
So dude, thank you, Lyle.
Lyle and James make it so easy to be a guest on that show. You know, it's comfortable. It's, you know.
Let me see.
So it does good.
Is there somebody else that I know that had been on that show before? I don't know.
You know what, Stan? Now that I think about it, I was on that show at one time.
Oh yeah,
I was, and I had not been in YouTube very long when I was on it either. Man, I was a nervous wreck for like the first 10 minutes. After that first 10 minutes, I was like, you know, we got it now. Like I said, they make you feel so comfortable when you're a guest on the show. Yeah, you might be nervous about for the first 5, but after that, yeah, you're good. Yeah. See, I see you're down in chat. He was so nervous. Yeah, I was like 2 hours before the show started. I was pacing around my house. I was wearing a groove in the floor.
And the good also congrats to Chad. Lyle's going to be has asked Chad to kind of fill in for him this Monday. So it's going to be Chad and James on Catfish Weekly. So love talking with the Chad. So that's going to be an awesome show. Now we've got somebody else that wants to jump up here. Let's add him in.
Oh, there he is.
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
What's happening, Mike?
whole lot of nothing today. It was rough for
And-
me today.
Man, I wanted you to look. Every time that rod would bend, I thought, oh, he's got one. But you were like, oh, I'm hung up. I don't know who was more disappointed.
Just another tree.
Man, I was rooting for you, Mike. I'm telling you, I was screaming at that phone.
I seen you there. That comment you said it looked like salad when I pulled it up that last time. Man, that line trash was awful today.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had that. Not this past time we were bumping, but the time before. In fact, when I had brought my uncle fishing, all the rods on the left side of the boat, like on the current side, the rods would like this the whole time with the trash that was on them, and we never got bit on that side. The only rods that got bit were the rods that didn't have trash on them.
Wow.
You know, it's crazy.
I went upriver about 30 miles after I got off alive, and it was the same way up there. I couldn't find anything today. It was awful.
And you know that trash is hitting them in the face. They don't like that. They're not comfortable.
No.
It's it's like riding a motorcycle without a helmet. You know you don't want nothing hitting you in the face.
Or driving a boat in the summertime with no windshield.
You know a little something about that, huh? Yeah, me too. Me too. I know. What were the water temps, Mike?
We was at 53. It dropped a few degrees since last week because we've had some pretty cold weather these past couple days.
Yeah, y'all did. So it's kind of teetering on that edge of where you like to bump at.
As soon as it hits 55, I think it'll be fire. But I think so. When it's 50 plus, I got to go try it.
I don't blame you. I would like the whole winter when our water temperatures were so cold. I would have walked. In fact, this room, that's where I keep all my stuff at. I would have walked out of this room. I'd stare at my little bumping rod, maybe shed a tear or two, keep on walking. I know. I know the feeling.
So let's see. We had some more people jump in. Lynn, Catfish Fever and Outdoors. Hope all's going well with you, Lynn. Big Slim, Thomas, aka Papa T. Great to see you. Mind of Harris, great to see you. He's out there in a bunch of the shows. Also, SK's Crappie Catching Adventures later on Wednesday nights for all those addicted to the crappie. That's a great show there also.
Yeah.
Let's see. And we were talking about Paula Smith with the rod. Muddy River Chris was on last night live with Tim Molina, and he was using the Paula Smith rod, and it was announced quite a bit there. So y'all can go over to Paula's channel, Fishing with Paula Smith. Also, Chris Flores' channel, you'll see a bunch of him using the new rod a bunch of times. So now, and there's another, now I'm glad that Mike came up here because we were talking about great shows coming up. Seems to me tomorrow night somebody has quite the guest on tomorrow night that should turn into quite the show. Who would that be? I can't. Mike, any ideas who's got a great show tomorrow night?
It's some guy by the host of some awesome catfishing show on the Pursuit channel and YouTube. A guy by the name of Chris Souders.
That's it. Yeah. So Mike Greenwell on 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central show tomorrow night. Mike, what's the name of your show again?
Weekly Whiskers with Greenwell Fishing.
There you go. And guest tomorrow night, Chris Souders. Going to be an amazing show.
Oh, absolutely.
I liked your live today, Mike, where you were trying to. How hard was it to try to bump and follow the chat at the same time?
No, it wasn't too bad.
Now,
as long as
you think you've got some muscle memory going, for someone just starting out, I wouldn't recommend reading chat.
Wow.
No. I don't know. I can tell you right now, I ain't bumped enough in my life to be able to do what he was doing this morning. I was amazed. I have just gotten to the point where I could bump when I'm sitting down. Look, Mike's laughing. See, he knows what I'm talking about. That's where I'm at right now. I'm at the I can sit down stage. But the multitasking while bumping, I'm not there. There ain't no way. No.
Today was a little bit more rough than normal because I knew that area had so much structure in it.
Yeah.
But with being that close to the bank, I wanted to be over there with the river condition.
Yeah. Now, okay, this, and I was watching that today, and it brought up a question that I've always wanted to ask you. And now that I got you face to face, I think I can ask you the right way. Do you change up your rig in any way, like your sinker dropper length or your leader length, if you know what type of structure you're going to be in? Or does your rig kind of stay the same lengths no matter what?
No, I do change. I change the length of most of the time. I start with the length of the sinker leader.
Okay.
But if that don't do anything, I will shorten or lengthen the hook leader too. But mostly in the structure, I want it to be tight. So today I had it a little bit smaller because I knew that structure was going to be down there, and I could pick it up and get it up over it faster, being a little bit tighter, shorter.
Okay. So basically you try to run the shortest sinker dropper that you can, but still keep you just above whatever structure you're fishing.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I got you.
Because I feel if you got that long,
where I'm bumping at, it's so weird because where we first start bumping, there's rocks the size of Volkswagens, but then a few 100 yards down, there's hardly any rocks, and it's nothing but sand and silt. So it's and that's why I asked that question, but it's because of something like that.
Yeah. I just feel if I got that long sinker leader, or the shorter sinker leader on structure, I got a better chance of pulling it up than I do with that longer leader, because that longer leader will go around it, and then the sinker will hit the bottom. She'll get stuck up in there.
Okay, I got you. Okay, I understand what you're talking about. Now you feel with that shorter sinker dropper, you've got better control over it.
Yes.
Over what
so
it's
if
doing.
If I'm going to fish sand or a rocky bottom and I don't have much structure, shoot, I'll have that sinker leader being about sometimes 20 inches long.
Really? Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because lately I've been running, 30, 36 inches because of those big rocks we're in, but it's too long for further down the river.
Right.
Which really isn't far. It's a couple of 100 yards, so it's kind of tough to. It's tough.
I asked you on chat a while ago about some what you do for your skipjack or slicker. I figured I'd come on and share a few rigs that I use.
Yeah, go for it.
Got these little sinkers. I love these little sinkers right here. They're pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Both ends.
Yeah, that's the trolling sinkers, I think they call them.
Yeah, I use a 50-pound leader, and I go down to the Foley spoon.
Okay.
I tie it on an actual rig like that.
Yeah.
Give it the twistability. Those rigs, you can cast those rigs a mile.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Also use the black and pink. I don't know if you've seen my other comment. I like that black and pink.
I've seen that.
I tie them on those rigs like that too, so they're a little bit off the line, and it helps a lot. Really a lot. I tied 2 or 3 of them on there, and they're all normally the same size. So I just put a couple of the little crimp sinkers on the bottom to.
Yeah, that way it doesn't.
Make it a little heavier.
That way it doesn't twirl on you when you cast. Yep.
Another thing we like to do, if you're going to throw a sabiki rig, you might as well get used to being, so long. Off of the sabiki rig, I'll tie another one of those sinkers, and I'll run a Foley spoon on the back of that also. Let me find myself there.
I do that. I do that pretty much the same way. I don't do with any weight, but what I'll do when I put that big popping cork on the end of that sabiki, I'll tie a little piece of leader and I'll put that Foley spoon about 18 inches behind that popping cork. In fact, I got that from remember John Noel, the regular dude fishing. Yeah. That's exactly where I use the exact rig that he would throw. In fact, he's the one that even taught me how to throw it. You put it behind you, let that cork hit the water, and then sail it out the back of the boat. I use the exact rig he uses.
Yeah, I actually seen him, and he's the one that started me when I'm out there. I throw 2 rods out the back and let them, and sometimes you can just sit there and watch them, and they'll catch all the fish for you.
Yeah, it's same thing. Watching his videos and putting those 2 sabikis out the back on those long surf rods, same thing. I do that the same way now. In fact, whenever my planer boards show up, I'll have some planer boards too, and we go cover some water We go catch some
That's
bait.
right.
That's
right.
Hopefully that's gonna make for a really, really fun video. Is basically have 6 rods out the back with jigs and sabiki on them. That's
I was
either gonna
doing
be
that
an
one
awesome
day, though.
video or a big mess. One or the
A
other.
big mess, yeah. I was doing that one day, and I caught a striper. It was about 10 pounds. He hammered it, and oh my gosh, I thought I had the skipjack of the century.
See, we don't have any of the what I call the true stripers, but our river is slap full of those hybrid stripers, and man, they are aggressive.
And they're still fun.
Oh yeah, they are a ton of fun.
You get into a bunch of them, and you've had a good day.
Yeah, every now and then when I'm trying to catch skipjack, I'll hook one of those by accident, and that's how I know I'm letting my rig drop too much, is if I hook one of those. Man, because I don't use big rods to skipjack fish with. My main one I use is a little Daiwa spinning combo. It's medium action rod, some 12-pound mono on it. Man, you put a big hybrid on one of those, man, you got a fight on your hands.
You say you think the boat scares the skipjack up there or down there where you're at?
I'm starting to believe that. Now, I'll be honest, there's some times of the year it seems like no matter what I do, I catch them. But I think when they're a little harder to catch, it seems like I'm always having to throw at them to get them. When I try to get my boat closer, I can't find them anymore. And then if I just stay put where I'm at and start casting way away from the boat again, I'll find them. It just seems to be a pattern when they're finicky, that if I try to creep up on them too much, I'll lose them.
I don't
try creeping up on them anymore.
I don't know if maybe the current seams the way they come out of the dam here, but some of them current seams will move.
Yeah.
They'll just move back and forth. And there's sometimes, within 10 minutes, we got to cast to catch them. But then the next 10 minutes, they're right there at the boat. I don't even cast sometimes. I'll just let it out and jig it and boom, catch them.
I mean, there has been some times where I've caught them literally right next to the boat, but I can count on one hand the times I've had that happen to me. Most of the time, if I'm going to catch, numbers of them, I've got to get away from the boat. I don't know if it's maybe my trolling motor. It might be my sonar. It might be that sonar ticking that's running them. I'm not sure. I can just tell you what I experience. I know it's different for everybody.
Right.
And honestly, year after year, I probably catch more off the bank than I do in my boat.
Really?
Yeah, I really do. I'm not 100% sure why, but I have caught more off the bank than I have in my boat. Nah, I ain't pulled planer boards out that boat yet. That might fix that situation. That might fix that.
You just make sure you video that, because that, like you said, that's gonna be great or awful.
Well, look, it's either gonna be video of the year or blooper of the year.
Hey, you can't have my blooper of the year now. Come on.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was a good one. I did have a rod fall out the boat, but I got mine back. So that makes yours just a little better.
You may not have thrown yours yourself.
No, mine was just from me not paying attention to what I was doing, and homemade rod holders.
Yes.
That's what that'll get you too. That's why I have those monsters on the back of the boat now.
That's
because
right.
of that situation right there. But I mean, I think everybody's at the point right now to where, catching bait to stack up for the rest of the year. I think everybody's kind of in that mode right now. The flood water kind of messed us up just a little bit, but I should be right in the middle of my skipjack run right now. If not, maybe on the tail end of it. The only thing that got me is the water being so muddy. It's made them very hard to catch on rod and reel. Now,
I've noticed
guys are still catching them.
I've noticed when the water gets muddy here, well, we actually could walk out on our dam, but it's over 30 foot right now. Yeah. So when it comes up over 30 foot, it comes up over the wall.
Yeah.
But if you can catch that thing at like 28 foot and it's real muddy, we go up there with the white curly tails. And the white curly tails wear them out.
And just wear them out. Yeah, right now it's like the water is so muddy. I mean, you could catch some on rod and reel, but you're going to have to work your tail off for it. When the water's going to clear up just a little bit, I think the rod and reel stuff's going to get really good. Just got to give it a little time. But I'm lucky. I can catch them just about all year round. I don't have to catch them when they're running at the dam.
That's when I'm drifting in an area when we got low current, I'll look over and I'll see a current seam just popping up out of the river, maybe a barge just sitting there or something. I'll take a bait rod with me everywhere I go. Yeah, I look over and see something flipping.
Yep.
I mean, it might be a moon eye, but a moon eye will hit that too. So.
Oh yeah. I've caught the few that I've caught. I actually caught them on the same little shiny hiney jig that I catch my slicker on. I caught a few. It was actually golden eye that I had caught that day, but I didn't even know we had that in our river until we caught them. That was a nice surprise that day. But yeah, everybody's in bait mode right now.
Yes, we are.
It's been a long winter. I'm sure everybody's like me. Their freezer is getting kind of scarce on what they've got stacked up. So it is bait time.
That's another thing I don't think that helped me today. I didn't have very good bait. I had some bait that's been in the bottom of that cooler or that freezer for quite some time.
But let me ask you honestly though, because I know my opinion on it. But before I say it, I want to hear yours first. I know for anchor fishing, fresh bait, I find is an absolute must. Drifting, dragging. Do you think bumping, because of the style of fishing, gives you a little more leeway to use maybe not the best of bait because you're hitting them in the face with it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I've showed up to tournaments with frozen bait, and guys are like, "Oh well, we're gonna kick your butt. Hey, you got frozen bait, we got fresh," and we come with the big fish and the tournament win, and they didn't catch fish, so.
Yeah. See, I'm the same way. I think now it's no excuse to use bad bait. Don't get me wrong, but
right.
I think bumping you get a little more slack on. Like if you've got some so bait, I'd much rather use it for bumping than for anchor fishing. That's me because I've caught really good fish on bait bumping. I ain't never caught a good fish on so bait on an anchor. Ever.
Mark, that's a topic that's going to come up on a future bait. We're going to dedicate a whole show just to that.
Out of respect for our guest, I'm not going to tell you what I caught my latest PB on bumping. Was not on purpose and it was not expected, but you know what? I guess it happened. And that goes back to my point. If you hit him in the lips with it, sometimes it may not matter that much what it is. I think I made it mad. I think that's what happened. He was so insulted that I hit him in the lips with that piece of yellow chicken that he got mad at me and bit my hook.
Yeah, that reaction bite. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I really think that's what happened.
Yeah.
And that 25-pounder we caught right after that was the same thing.
Had some more awesome people come in. J. Fox Hunter. I Stan and Creole from Tennessee.
I love Tennessee.
You get to fish that the Tennessee River there, J. Fox. We had Mindy Hogan come in. Let's see.
I know if my wife had her choice, we would live in Tennessee. We would move there. She loves like the Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge area. Loves it.
Yeah, it's a little bit more moderate temperature than say Louisiana is.
Well, during the summer it is. During the winter, I don't know about moderate.
That's true. I guess it's just like everything else. Just like the size of the catfish you catch, it's all relative to what you're used to. So
yeah, exactly. Y'all, all of y'all would die to spend a summer with me down here when it's over 100 degrees and 98% humidity. But put me in the same situation for some of y'all winters, and I'm the same thing. I couldn't take it. You know, it's all about what you're used to.
And I can attest to that because I would be in upstate New York, and all winter long it would be shorts and maybe a hoodie, and that was my cold winter gear. And now that I've been down in Virginia here for approaching 10 years, there was a couple times this winter I got chilly, and I was like, wow. I'm losing it.
I actually had to wear pants to work twice this year. It got below 10 degrees, so I had to put pants on.
Below 10?
Below 10 degrees, so I had to put some shorts on. I had to take my shorts off, put some jeans on.
But just to show you how we are down here, we can have a Category 5 hurricane ripping the roofs off of people's houses, and we still got to go to work, and still going shopping, and I wonder if the hair salon is open. It doesn't bother anybody. You put 2 inches of snow on the ground, and they want to declare a state of emergency. That is not an exaggeration. It shuts everything. Everything is shut down. That is it.
Well, I would believe that because even here in Virginia, we don't get a lot of snow, but we get 3-4 snowstorms a year, 5 maybe. This year it seemed like it was every Sunday morning we were having snow this year, but but they'll call for snow the next day, and there's already how they do those little announcements like scrolling on the bottom of the TV or the radio. So and so close. It's not even snowing yet. There's just a chance of snow for the next day.
That's us. And really, it doesn't really snow here. What we get is more like shaved ice. You get at the snow cone stand. That isn't powdery. Like, I have still yet to make an actual snowball. Because over here, nice powdery snow, you make a snowball, you throw it at somebody, poof. Okay. The snowballs you make at my house, you're going to ball them up. It's going to turn to ice. You're going to throw it at somebody. You're going to give them a concussion. That's our snow. So it's just terrible, terrible, terrible.
JPC, my favorite driving is in about a foot of snow. Yeah, that can be fun.
No. Mm-mm.
Fish and Cooking with Mike Chavez. Welcome. Great to see you.
Speaking of Mike Chavez, Mike, hopefully tomorrow, 4 o'clock Central, hopefully I can make you proud. Hopefully. We're doing our live crawfish boil tomorrow, 4 Central time. I guess that's 5 Eastern for everybody else. So it'll be just in time for your show, Mike. We're gonna probably get everything wrapped up about 6:30 and send everybody to sit down with a full gut and watch Chris Souders.
And you're gonna have all of us fat boys, but you're gonna have all of us drooling on our phones, our computers.
Y'all, look, I tell Mike Chavez that all the time. Every time I watch one of his videos, well, son, you done cost me another phone case. I done tried to chew my phone again. Them phone cases are getting expensive.
Yeah, and I can't quite get it to taste like what I think that picture is.
I know, right? I tell you what, if Mike Chavez's neighbor ever puts his house for sale, we gonna be fighting each other.
Yeah,
no doubt. Who's gonna buy that house? Let me tell you, there's gonna be a fight.
The thing with Mike's videos and stuff, for those that aren't even, you could have a lack of cooking skills and go follow the what he's doing. He breaks it down pretty simply.
Yeah, he does.
He made that seafood po' boy a couple weeks ago. Had the fried oyster.
I know.
You talk about missing something. I had to dang go make one myself, just so that I couldn't stop thinking about it for like a week. I finally had to make one.
I know.
Let's see. A bunch of other people came in. We got Parker Pursuits came in. How you doing, Parker? Ohioan for life 42. Matt, great to see you. Jack Catfishing. Awesome. My good friend Norm, Catfish Headhunters, is in.
You see Norm's new logo?
Yeah, man.
Thing look good, didn't it?
Hey, that stands out. Now you see, that would be a sticker that would look so good on my motor cover on my boat. You know what I mean? Hint, hint. Just saying. I got a spot picked out for it. Oh yeah. So hey, everybody loves stickers, man.
And we got Frank H that came in. Hey, there's my good brother, my good friend there, fellow Virginia fishing family, Fab Fishing, formerly known as Full Armor Bassin. But they've been nailing some. They can tell you about the James River. They've been coming down and nailing some beauty. So always love seeing them in here.
So is that possibly maybe another ditch pickler that we've maybe starting to convert? Because we got LG Bass, old Tom. He got to change his name.
They've done a little bit of everything. They've done a little bit of everything. If it's swimming, they fish for it. So
there you go. That's the kind I like.
Yeah, definitely JP3. My wife and I fished with JP3 and his wife and Patriot James and Patriot Patty and last year in Chad's couples tournament, which was just a lot of fun. Had a great day fishing with them on the screen, so I can only imagine how much fun that would be real life.
I know it broke my heart to have to tell Patriot that I couldn't make it this year, man. But let me tell you something. Next year, he gonna be sick of me when I come next year. I promise you. We'll talk his head off.
And we got Fishing with Big Mike made it in. What's up, Big Mike? Uncle Lou, Lee Reed is in the house. Thank you. We saw Mindy earlier, and now we got Lee in here with us.
Lee, hey, Lee.
Stripes.
Thank you, brother. You know what I'm talking about.
Definitely. Yeah. So,
well, hey, fellas, I'm gonna go ahead and jump off here. I just want to get on here and share those few rigs about them skipjack.
I appreciate it, Mike. I really do.
Yeah, Mike, you're welcome anytime. Always great talking with you. Thank you for what you do out there, helping promote this great sport of catfishing that we all love and the care that you have for the fish. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem, guys. We'll see y'all later. I'll be in chat.
All right, awesome.
Let's see. Let me send out a little.
Never mentioned me, Kelly. The Bullock Experience. I've been doing a show on Tuesdays, 6 o'clock, I believe. I think. There you go. Creole. Fab Fishing.
Appreciate it, brother.
Awesome family.
I
real excited. That they you watch some of the videos, you'll see the excitement and the love. Not only love for fish and fishing, but love for God. So.
Oh yeah, well, hey, that's. Let me see. I didn't do my job. I was supposed to send our next segment a link, and I did not do it. I dropped the ball on that.
We're up to 52 people, just like they must know what's coming up next.
Yeah, I know, right? And I'm sitting here trying to fumble with my phone. One of these days, Stan, I'm going to get my stuff together. You know what I mean?
Why?
One of these days. It wouldn't be any fun, I guess, if I did.
Oh man.
For anybody who didn't know, I'm the comedic half of this broadcast team. Okay, I'm the half that you laugh at.
I'm the half that's laughing. So
yeah, see, it works good for everybody. Okay. So
all right.
He should be up here in mere moments.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Mike, for coming in. That was awesome. Yeah, Kelly, who never mentions you? I don't know if I missed it or.
Oh. Yeah, but
Oh, no.
Epic, ain't nobody ever complains if you talking anybody's ear off. Trust me, ain't
That's right.
nobody complaining. No, I'm not.
I was doing talking right back. So.
Me and him stayed up till 4:00 in the morning one night, just going. I still didn't want to hang up.
Okay. Well, this person needs no introduction. Regular part of the show here. Let's bring him in.
How's it going, everybody? Ha.
Boom!
Hey.
What's up, Stan and Jeremy?
What
Not
is
too much
happening,
How are you?
Professor Catfish? Professor Catfish himself. What's going on, brother?
Well, I'm kind of enjoying everybody else's fishing time on YouTube right now. That is one thing. I've got a broken axle. I've got to replace both of the hubs, and I found myself jobless after 25 years of working for the same company. So, needless to say, I'm scrambling to basically start my own furniture company because there isn't another one around here. I'll either have to relocate or start my own. So I've been working on a building and tools and this and that and the other and working and doing this, and I should be ready to build furniture next week.
Hit the ground running. That's what I'm talking about.
Good. You know, there is no failure. It's just I have to make it work.
There you
If it was
go.
just myself, I'd just go fishing. But of course, they're still dependent on me.
Yeah. I hear you on that one. I think it's Steve Harvey that said one time that there is no plan B. Because if you have a plan B, that means you're not focusing on plan A.
Hey, that's right.
You got to just go.
Yep. All right. Enough about that. I've been watching your show. It's great. I love listening to you, Stan, and your guests talk. I think you're doing a great job. It's awesome. You guys cover some cool topics. It's fun. It's energetic. It's it's full of information. That's all.
Oh, shucks.
So I know we don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, hey, look
all the
where
time you want.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
okay.
right.
All right. Well, then I'll do like I did with Stan and keep him on the phone for like 3 hours in the middle of the night.
Hey, my brother, that was a lot of fun. You didn't hear. I was coming right back with it, so that was.
My wife said, "Leave that poor man alone."
She does not understand. We thirst for knowledge.
That's right.
My wife said this. My wife said the same thing. She's like, "Are you still talking to Tim?" Because she thinks I'm the one that talks a lot, which I do, but she doesn't realize that it's back and forth. So.
all of us, yeah.
So she was saying, leave, same exact thing. Let him get off the phone. But anyways, there's the comment right there that I was looking for. I haven't been on during a good old Red Bull powered Epic chat for a while.
That's right. And when money gets tight, the Red Bulls have to go out the window. I'm down to the sun-kissed orange. Orange. But it is what it is. So I was talking with Jeremy earlier when I was sitting in the high school parking lot waiting for my son to get done with football practice. And we were talking about bumping, in particular, bumping in some extreme areas, like right below dams where the water's flying out of there and there's concrete, big giant obelisks in the water, and maybe, it comes down and there's a whole lot of current going through the midsection right where the gates come through, and then there might be a spot right below that all these big fish are congregating. The problem is too hard to get a bait in there. But Jeremy and I started talking about him pouring some of those donkey weights in a little bit different proportion and using that on his rig with 50-pound braid and his spot lock to get up there and maybe dropping that right into that epic zone. If he can do that, if the fit have to do it once because the fish are going to be there. Sometimes they're not, but it's sometimes that those dams like that hold big fish all year round. When you get into the temperate zone, So I'm excited for Jeremy to do that. And we talked about a couple of different ways to pour some really cool donkey weights. Why don't you tell everybody what we talked about, Jeremy, if you can remember?
Well, there's two different things. There's two different things we discussed. The first,
Yep.
the mold that I'm making right now, basically to gain weight. Okay, I don't want to really gain diameter because that's going to cause too much drag in the water. It's just going to want to pull it that much away from me. So I'm going to gain weight.
Coffee cans like I've got.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be gaining weight in. That's right. That's right. I'm going to be gaining weight in length, not diameter, and even going as far as to because when I'm going to pour in that big 4x4 that I made from my mold, the top's going to be flat like this. Okay. Yep. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my grinder and I'm going to round that off, make it egg shaped on the top. That way, if I do get it out there, and hopefully if I get it behind something, that first rounded edge, it's going to make it just come right off of whatever structure I'm bumping against and not get hung up behind it.
Those hard shoulders, when they get caught on something like this, the hard shoulder will be here, and it's really hard to pull it off there. Even if you let your line out and let the current and then try to drag it back, they're so heavy, it's almost impossible. So if you can get that, and then we talked about doing the little trick that I talked about in another live show. I think it was Fishing Magicians today. And I was just in the chat, and I started talking about when I used to cut the tops off of the ketchup bottles. And it's like a little cone. So I would first put like a neoprene bobber stop on the line. Then I would thread that cone on with the tiny spot up, and then tie my sinker, put the sinker on, and then tie the swivel below that, so that it would be pointy shaped, but it would also be pointy shaped in plastic, so it wouldn't seep into those cracks and in those crevices. And a lot of times I could get my stuff back if I was fishing over some sort of giant piece of cover 50, 60 yards away from the boat, where you can't get your boat up there. You'd have to cast 100 yards, and then it would wash back towards the boat and get caught on the front, so that you could actually get stuff back. And I had a little bit of a problem before I started using that technique.
Okay.
Well, what was it?
Might even your revetment. It might help with rebar. It might help with big boulders. It might help with all that stuff if you try that. And we even talked about going a little bit bigger, because back in those days I just used 3-ounce egg sinkers and just a regular Carolina rig, and you're doing a bumping thing, and you might be able to take those, and they were the large Sharpie caps. Take that little clip off and use those, because if that can seep down over top of that and it can protect that, and there's no there's no shoulder, you probably get a lot of stuff back.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's one of the big things with bumping, and and bumping in any situation, whether it's from a still boat, from a moving boat, it's you're literally hitting the cover every time, and in one little moment that you're not paying attention, you put some slack in that line. That's it. Your sinker's going down in whatever structure you're fishing, and you ain't getting it back.
Yeah, and it's really hard to lift 2 pounds of lead every time.
Oh no, lead's getting hard to come by these days. So yeah, that wouldn't be a good thing at all.
That trick might work for Stan too, because he fishes a lot from shore, and I used it in that example where Fishing Magician, he's on the shore, and it's shallow for feet before that hard 90-degree rock face falls 80 foot of water. So I mean, you're basically fishing over the side of a building if you think about it. So you got just basically a building, and you're up here, and it's going over the edge of that building and dropping straight down. So that's really hard when you get that reeled up there to get that at that angle. Unless boat, you could walk out there, or you could walk out there. But yeah, that's quite the deal. And I don't think anybody's doing that or talking about it.
There's a couple of spots now that you're bringing that up that would definitely help out. Where it's that shallow, and then hits that ledge and just shoo, and you feel it. You're trying to get that fish up over it every time. So
And it's not an easy thing to reel up 30, 40, 50-pound fish over those as that line is scraping over that rock the whole time. And you know, when I first encountered that, I was like, what is going on here? It's like, you know, it just had that really jerky feel to it. And then once I figured it out, because I couldn't run the trolling, I mean, the fish finder up there because it was above the do not cross line, then I started figuring that out for all the other situations.
Now you see that comment right there really makes me want to go jump in my truck. Like
Dude,
now.
She's got 1,000 pounds.
Ooh,
that's a whole lot of tire weights right there.
Like I'm really calculating how much gas is in my truck in my head right now. Jesus. Whew.
That's funny.
Man, you can't tell me stuff like that when I'm on a show. Man, Lee.
So now, Epic, talking about sinkers, Paula Smith wrote an article about sinkers one time, and that's something that I think a lot of people don't. They just think it's a piece of weight on the bottom, but with all the various different sinkers out there, they're all meant for something a little different.
Yep.
Now there was one that you were bringing up the other night. What was that one called?
Grapple sinker.
There you go.
And what I've done is I've taken 6, 8, and 10 ounce sinkers and I've drilled holes in the very bottom, bank sinkers, drill holes in, and then I put aluminum wire in and create a little anchor. Because some of the times when I'm forced to, and I don't love to do it, but some of the time when I'm forced to, I'll anchor on the line below a dam, and there's hundreds of yards of nothing but concrete. There's no rock, there's no nothing, but yet there's big blues working those baits in there. And sometimes they're not behind the boat, they're in front of the boat. So I'll take one of my big, what we call the long dong rods, and we will put those on there, and we'll put those on the bottom and just basically do a no-knot snell and put an 8-aught circle hook directly in line with that. And then leave about 24 inches so that it's streamlined, and we'll cast upstream. Now it'll flow back towards you until it hits a crack. It's kind of a crack finder.
I got you.
Any continuous pores. If there's nothing else there, it'll finally just scrape along the bottom like this till it finds a crack, and it basically lodges in there, and that keeps my bait up in their zone. Now sometimes it's not important to do that, but sometimes it's ultra important to do that.
Yeah, because there's no such thing as a flat slab that big. It's going to have expansion joints in it.
That's right.
Probably every 20 foot.
Yep. As long as you have 50-pound test or more on your rod, that aluminum is soft enough that if you pull it hard enough, it'll straighten those out. Yeah. They're bendable. They're nice and bendable.
I got you.
And all it is electric fence wire.
Yeah.
It's not even hard to find. You just go to a farm store. I mean, I don't know. A farm store might be hard to find where Stan lives, but pretty easy where you live.
Oh yeah, it's cheap.
Believe it or not, we have them here. We've got some country in Virginia, so yeah, there's.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that, but I just don't remember a farm store anywhere near Richmond.
Yeah, there's Southeastern States is in here, and if you want to go with like the nationwide farm stores of
like Tractor Supply.
There you go.
They all have it. They all have it. For $7 or $8, you got all kinds of stuff to work with pouring your own sinkers and doing your own stuff. I actually use that stuff that hopefully you guys are going to get to see this year. I actually use that stuff to wire my monster donkey baits that are 18 inches long. I will wire.
That was in your video. Yep.
Yeah, I'll wire those in the hooks. I will so that the hooks don't lay against the bait. Sometimes I'll bridle hook the things. You know, if my bait's a little bit weak and I need to throw it really hard, I'll take that wire and go through their eye sockets like this, and then through their nose bridle, and then I'll just loop it on the bottom of my circle. And believe it or not, if I had time, I'd probably hook up almost everyone like that, because hookup ratios are gigantic like that, because you don't have any meat in that hook at all.
Well, you see that what you're doing, that's actually extremely similar to the way we rig big baits for fishing for alligator gar.
Yes.
Very, very similar.
Yep.
And myself, from fishing from the bank, I like the coin sinkers, the flat point sinkers, the no roll. I like those a lot because they get down underneath the current and they kind of just, you can get away with a little bit lesser weight. I also like, if I'm fishing muddy bottoms, I like the pyramid sinkers, like your surf sinkers, but that's only in those conditions where it's muddy bottom, because that's what they're meant to do. Is those sharp corners are meant to get into the mud and get into the mud.
And they actually work pretty good in hard sand too, because those pyramid sinkers are designed a lot like an anchor sinker. Because that's what they're meant to do. They're meant to plow in and catch on a little bit of something. And I even use egg sinkers to do that. I'll use egg sinkers to catch little ledges and to catch little things. Now, if the current is too much, I'll have to either switch over to town test and egg sinkers, or I'll have to put on a donkey weight or do whatever. But I'm versatile enough, and I saw somebody said, I think it was Uncle Jeep, imagine what my tackle box looks like. My tackle box has a lot of big pliers and a bunch of wire and a bunch of big hooks and a bunch of big sinker sliders and a bunch of crazy homemade stuff. But where I live, it is not. It looks easy on my on my channel, but it's not. We go through long periods of time where it is tough. It's tough fishing. And everybody from the Midwest, well, everybody has that situation. I mean, whether it's the winter or the spring or whatever. Yeah. But we get that Mississippi River raging so hard, just like you were talking about earlier. When that water's in the trees, that puts your success rate from huge to small. And how I deal with is we're not low country as much up here as you are down there. So I will go to the more cavernous sections of the Mississippi where it's not all super spread out. I'll go to the river sections, but still, when those get high enough, it's up in the trees, them catfish can be anywhere. I mean, it makes for long days and long faces, and I don't like it either.
Yeah, like I said, it gives them so much real estate to go cover into. It's crazy, and it's I know for us, it's a lot of territory that you couldn't fish it if you wanted to, because it's flooded woods. You can't get in there to them, even if you could.
Here, I've done it, and even getting in there with the little 14-foot John boat, it's still gar and bullhead water. I don't care what anybody says. Where I'm at, it is really rough once, from it going from an eighth to a quarter mile wide to 4 miles wide, and current still going. Now, those big blues and stuff don't necessarily go in that backwater into the gar water, but you still got miles of stuff that has acceptable current. It's got acceptable cover. Yeah. The only thing it's missing is the depth. And the blues, the flatheads, and the channel cats, they are shallower during this period, coming up, than they were in the winter and what they will be in the summer. So it's just one of those. I mean, it's still a beautiful day, and fishing's better than work. But
that's right.
It's a big poke and hope, and I hope everybody understands that. The other thing is, it makes it hard to watch when you're a YouTube guy and you're watching YouTube all the time, but you're a fisherman. And I hear it from people that, are watching this stuff that you're like, oh my God, they're on fish all the time. So you got to realize that's the Tennessee, that's the James, that's the nature of those things. And ours is so volatile in this region as far as temperature. We're not even out of winter period yet where we're at. And Stan is no more farther south than I am. We're still in winter pattern all the way until April 15th, because if the river's staying normal, I will find those same fish in those same wintering areas and none up shallow until they get there. And they'll venture up shallow for a short period of time, and they'll come back down. They're not very far away from their wintering holes. And a lot of people are like, oh, we're catching flatheads already. And I have people that are watching it calling me going, man, they're catching flatheads already, in Tennessee and in whatever. We don't catch
they're catching them down here right now.
Yeah. We don't catch flatheads with any sort of consistency until at least 2 weeks into May. That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Some people will catch them by accident or, you know, whatever. But I mean, to go out and actually target flatheads, have any sort of success, we are May 15th, usually all the way to May 25th.
Wow.
And if it's been cold nights or whatever, my pre-spawn right here where I live is June. It's the month of June. It's June 1
Wow.
to July 4th. That's what we got for pre-spawn. It's short.
Wow. And you see, for us, by the time you get in late June, we are in the spawn. We are in the middle of it in June.
Yes. And a lot of people are like, how come do you know, talking to me, how come do you know so much about catfish? Because I live in an area that I wanted to succeed. I wanted to succeed every single time. I wanted to catch big fish every time. So I never stopped, and I did a whole bunch of crazy stuff that most people didn't have the time for, and, you know, or the inclination, or maybe the stupidity. I don't know. But the
stubbornness, perhaps.
Yeah, and the stubbornness. But the whole thing about it is, when you get into areas that are really tough to catch certain fish, you're going to have to learn. Now, if I could have just went out my back door and caught flatheads, you know, that were just roaming around in 35 foot of water on cut bait, well, I probably wouldn't know anything about flatheads except that, because I would have succeeded already.
Yeah.
You know, so all these guys that are in the chat that are always talking about, hey, if I'd have caught 2 20-pound fish, I'd have been ecstatic, you know, because sometimes when you're on the live chats and stuff and you catch a couple 20s, you go, well, we only caught a couple 20s. And some people are really, really excited about that, and for good reason. Good reason.
That's right. Yeah, I don't like knocking any size fish, you know, because I mean, that 40-pound fish may not be a big deal to some person, but be the absolute fish of a lifetime for someone else, because they, you know, that's as big as they get in their waters, you know.
I don't think most of us knock the fish. We don't knock the fish. We just don't high five and do the chicken.
Yeah, exactly.
Do one of these. Now, if at one time I did, you darn right, I caught a 20-pound fish, and I was like, whoa, that's awesome. You know, but
hey, I gotta admit, I caught that 15-pounder last week, and I've been having a tough little spell. That 15-pounder, I was like, woo! It felt great just to get something on the bank. But and that you hear me say that a lot with you know, you hear a lot of the shows, and everybody's got different things to say, and we're from all parts of the country. It's going to be differences, just like what Tim was just talking about. Certain parts of the country that's going to heat up before others. The spawn is going to be sooner or later. You got to learn how to take what's being said, kind of transfer that, think about your own waters, and look for the conditions that's being mentioned when that happens in your own waters. And, you know, I'm lucky enough to be by the James, Creole, and them have the Mississippi, you got Tennessee. Even if you don't have those, you know, and you're primarily fishing for the Ohio River, and you're fishing for channel cats, and, you know, a 10-pound channel cat, a lot of people, that's a trophy channel cat, 15 pounds.
I'm not going to catch one that big. They don't get that big where we are.
So, you know,
you guys,
gear it towards your weather.
I'm going to go out of the chat real quick to get rid of the static that always builds up with my terrible.
Thank you very much there, Mr. Downtown Ernie Brown. And yeah, so that's some people don't have the opportunity to fish much, and a 20-25-pound fish, a fish of a lifetime. Amen. The first we came down, like I said, we came down from upstate New York, and I've caught you know, 15-pound channel cats up there. Then the Delaware River, there was channel cats were the primary fish up there, so that was a monster. Oh
yeah.
Then we came down here to the James River, and I didn't realize what the James River was as far as blue cat. I'd never really fished for them, and you know, caught the first 20-pounder, and that was like, I mean, you should have saw it. Was like I had caught Moby Dick. It was amazing.
Yep.
And I've caught big fish before, but it's big bass, it's big pike. But to target that, learn a new species and target that, and then hit that first 20-pounder, you're addicted. You hit that first 20-pound blue or flathead, or even that big channel cat, and you're not addicted to it, well, go find another species, because that just
Stan, it's that 20-pound freshwater shark. It is
yes.
a creature that is all muscle, and he doesn't care. He's not posing for photos. He's not jumping in the moonlight. He's down there eating fish that aren't quite right. He's that predator, that thing that helps all the other fish stay healthy. It's exactly like sharks in the ocean. It is exactly like that. They are our sharks. We have 3 kinds. The ocean has 100 kinds, but that's what they do. That is their job. It is to eat the fish, it's to eat the crappie, the bass, the whatever that aren't fast enough, quite smart enough, aren't quite whatever. And when those catfish can eat those, it helps that the whole of all the other fish in their their evolution, because certain traits that aren't very good in a population like bluegills or bass or any of those species, they go right down the stomach. They're, that whole thing gets canceled, and it's this, the strong people survive. Survival of the fittest. It's survival of the strongest. Survival of the fastest.
Yep. So in other words, if you're not fishing for catfish, you're fishing for bait.
Absolutely right. 100%.
I just lost 5 subscribers right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But generally speaking, yes. But okay, so we can give the bass guys a little bit of a credit, because a big bass eats a lot of small catfish. A lot of people wouldn't think that, but they eat a lot of bullheads. Smallmouth eat a lot of bullheads. They eat a lot of madtums, and they eat a lot of small channel cats. And big and small blues probably get eaten by everything from stripers to other catfish to walleye.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, it just is what it is. I had a tank of my 1,000-gallon tank out in the garage. I had, I think it was 6 channel cats above 10 pounds, between 10 and 17 pounds, that I was keeping for a study whether they could see light or not. And I was going to go flathead fishing. And I thought, well, do I put these bullheads that I caught? And they were pretty big. I mean, they were, big bullheads. I thought, well, them channel cats, they're not going to eat those gigantic bullheads. They ate them in 2 days.
Wow.
And they were,
I got to say hi to my granddaughter's friend, Kaylee.
What's that, Stan?
I said I had to. My granddaughter's friend is out there, Kaylee, so I had to say hello to her. And here's a comment. Hilljack Catfishing took my friend 3 weeks ago. He got a 40-pound blue and had tears in his eyes. Yeah, that's
what it's all about right there.
And if that 20-pound is what puts tears in your eyes, be just as happy.
I mean, look, good example. Okay, Miss Laurie with her channel, Laura the Explorer.
Oh yeah.
Caught a what? It was a little over 10. It was 10 pounds and some ounces of blue she caught. It could have been 100 pounds. She wouldn't have been more excited than that 10-pound blue she caught, because she finally, after all that hard work, got on a few fish, and then she caught that 10-pounder. I mean, that excitement right there, catching that fish, that's what it's all about.
Now, Creole and Stan, I used to guide, and I guided for quite a few years. So I'm well aware of where people are on their personal best and how excited they get, even over 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-pound fish. Even when I just guided for channel cats in May, almost everybody that on my boat caught their personal best in my boat that time. And we don't really have a shot at channel cats over 15 pounds. So a lot of people that love fishing, they have not had the opportunity to catch fish over 10 pounds.
Yeah,
I think it's great when somebody catches their PB. The only ones I kind of regretted in the past is I had a couple customers, father and son, and they had first started flathead fishing, and they saw one of my shows or whatever, called me up, and I took them to the sunken barge in the middle of June, and they caught back-to-back 60s, and they were excited, but they went from catching no flatheads to their first ones being back-to-back 60s. And I assume that probably kind of spoil their
Yeah.
thirst for knowledge. Now, hopefully it didn't. Hopefully they got, more excited about it, because I heard that they didn't quit fishing or anything. But I've also taken muskie fishermen, and after a 70-pound flathead, went home and sold all of his equipment and turned it into flathead stuff.
That's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm.
That guy giggled like a little schoolgirl for 3 hours.
Wow. And it's the same thing. Not this past weekend, a weekend before, when I had my two uncles in the boat with me. Look, my uncle Bruce, he's been fishing all his life. I used to fish with him when I was little, but he never caught a fish that big in his life, much less a catfish. Biggest catfish he'd ever caught in his life was, I don't know, 10 pounds, maybe, So to put him on that 41-pound blue, he was tickled to death. Like I said, he would laugh about it and stuff the whole rest of their trip. And that I got way more excited watching him pull that fish in than if it had been me pulling it in myself. It's a great feeling to put somebody else on a good fish like that that's never done it before. There's nothing like it.
I can't wait to put Sean on a super monster. His PB is right around 65 pounds on a blue.
Wow, right, still a really good fish.
Yeah, but I would love to this season put him on an 80 of either species.
Yeah,
flathead or blue. And if it's an 80-pound flathead, he will tell that story 100,000 times. I can't wait.
I imagine Sean's the type of guy that he is not gonna stop being excited about it till he goes to bed that night. He's just gonna.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah. I love that type of guy. I love it. I love that.
Not only that, you never know what he's going to say, but you always know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Because he's always going to do the right thing, but you never know what he's going to say. And that just keeps things interesting.
That's it. It makes it fun that way.
Yeah, it is. It is. Sometimes it makes it difficult to edit, but I'll tell you what, he makes everything more fun. Here he does.
There you go.
I'll put up a bit with him, but if I'm by myself or if I'm with a more of a serious person, I don't even I'm talk, but it's all like I'm talking now. Oh, this is what the fish are doing. This is what I got to think about. I mean, I'm a driven fisherman, yes, but Sean at least can take those little and make us break out into laughter, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. You got to have that guy.
Couple examples of what we're talking about. Creole, you had that one where you took Blake out there and had him on some fish. The excitement of him, and he was focused the whole time for a younger guy. Focused the whole time. That was a great video there. Has life with his lives out there with his brother. It's great seeing his brother come up the scales. Hobby Nerd caught that first fish, and he's been catching, a little bit bigger, and you see the excitement and the laughter. That it's the drive is there to keep going back out, getting that next one. And I think Epic. I think that's why you and Sean are so good together. Is you've got you're driven the same way, but you got a little different personalities that work together with each other, kind of like Creole and I, but Stan 3 and I, where I know what he's going to do, he knows what I'm going to do. But we've got the different personalities that work together, and it just makes it so much more fun.
And it helps that I've known Sean since he was like 10 years old. He lived across the street from my mom and dad right about the time, maybe it was the 2 or 3 years before I officially moved out. But, no, we're savages. I'm telling you. That's what he calls us all the time. He's like, man, he says, how many people would do that? I said, I don't know, Sean. I said, we haven't slept for 2 days. We slept in the truck, which people do, but how many guys, drive 6 hours to go fish, 14 hours to sleep in the truck for 2 hours to get back up and go catch bait again? I don't know. And at 50 and 52 years old. So, that was, that's one of the things, but I'm not near as bad as I used to be. Oh my gosh. My God.
I can only imagine.
7 days in a row, showering in the river, if you did, if it was hot, whatever, you get in the river, get the soap out and all that, like, really,
Wow.
it was quite the thing, and I'm
I
glad
bet.
I did. Fond memories of that. I mean, I remember waking up in a hammock on the side of the Mackinac River and looking at my watch and going, oh my gosh, I'm the godfather of my best friend's daughter, and I was going to be late. So I just scraped up all my crap, threw it in the boat, and just hauled ass to the boat ramp. And I was still in my fishing clothes at the altar thing. I was like, that was pretty bad. But he knew. He's like, yeah.
Oh yeah. See, but everybody that knows you expects that. Like, oh, okay, well, he's here in his fishing clothes. Okay.
Yep. And I used to say this thing, hey, you're late. I'm like, nope, I arrived exactly when I intended to.
Oh wow.
My wife, when we first met, she would say, well, when are you going to be home? I said, when I get there. She said, well, don't you have a timeline? I said, well, no. I said, if the fish are biting, I might not be there till tomorrow. And it might be the next day. It's really good.
And if the fish aren't biting,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be, might even be longer.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
And one time she found me, and I told her generally where I was fishing, and it was just a flat out rain lightning storm, and I was actually at the canal 20 miles away from my house, and she found me, and this thing's 80 miles long, and I could have been within 30 miles, but she actually paid attention to kind of where I went. She showed up, and there I was in a lawn chair staring at rods in this stupid canal as it was raining on me, and it was like 2 a.m. She said, I'll never doubt you again.
Hey, yeah, because I imagine after a while it had to enter her mind. Okay, is he serious or is there something going on? That's exactly where you were.
She has such a good smeller. After a while, she could tell whether I was fishing for channel cats, blues, or flatheads by the way I smell. Because she can smell bluegill. Oh yeah, she can smell a mouse fart in a corner for 30 paces. I mean, she's got
my wife's the same way.
Yes, she can smell anything, and so I shouldn't say this on the live, but she could tell it wasn't stripper smell. It was moon eye or bluegill.
It wasn't a different brand of perfume she was smelling.
That's right.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't perfume.
Lipstick doesn't come in scales attached to your fingernails or on your elbow. I told this story one time. One time I was in study hall and there was a girl that was talking to me. She goes, "What is that?" I said, "What do you mean? What's that?" She said, "What's on your tooth that's shiny?" I went, "Oh, it's a shad scale." Because I had went to school that morning. I went to school that morning after getting off I drove straight from the river and went to school. So I didn't even have a chance to look in the mirror.
It's funny. Stan 3 was like that. He'd have he's like that with hunting and fishing. He'd have the bow. Back when you could bring the things like that on school grounds, he'd have bow, the guns, fishing pole. It was all in the car, ready to go, and he'd leave the house 4 a.m. to get out in the woods for bow season, deer season, and stay out there for a couple hours. And
Stan, we used to have to lock our shotguns and our 22s in our lockers. Okay, it wasn't that you could just bring them into the school and just lay them around. You had to lock them in your locker, but the principal would say, "You go in, you go, hey, I got my." 20 gauge. They were deer hunting. Somebody's running a trap line or whatever. There was 15 kids in my class with guns in the truck and guns in the locker.
Yep.
And it was okay. You could have guns in your truck as long as you locked it.
Same here.
Yep.
Same here. It wasn't a big deal. Like if we were in the ag shop, we'd be talking about guns during the hunting season. And the teacher's like, "Oh, wait, you got a certain gun? Well, hey, look, bring it in here so I can look at it. I was thinking about buying one like that." Before you know it, we've got a shotgun in class being passed around. Everybody's looking at it. No big deal.
because no one ever got shot back then. It's other things. It's not the guns.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
Oh,
let's
no.
not get into that, I guess. But
Yeah.
so we were talking about bumping. I don't do a whole lot of
Yep.
bumping, but I do. There was somebody, I think it was Troy, who said he does a lot of bumping off the bank. Now that is something that I'll do from an anchored position, and I also do it off the bank, and that's throw 90 degrees cross current, and I will bump that thing until it gets caught. Now if they're hitting it on the move, like once in a while, I'll get on the Mississippi, and like off of like maybe I'll be in like 15 foot of water off of a fast water hump, and then it just kind of goes down like this. Kind of Sometimes they want it on the move, because if you stop that anywhere, it's dead in the water. But if you can keep that thing moving, boom, and sometimes you're the biggest channel cats I've ever caught when they're doing that, because they'll be a little bit suspended. They'll be, kind of loosely positioned, kind of running around. And if it's not moving, they don't want it. Blues get that way. I did the same thing in Dead Man's Hole one time, where you anchor basically to the wall and you throw out, and you got to throw upstream. It hits the bottom, and you just keep that thing bump, 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 bump. I had a customer that was so good at it because he was a steelhead fisherman, and this was his first time he ever catfished. He caught 23 blues in a row between 16 and 30 pounds in a row, consecutive points. He was that good. He handed the rod to his buddy, and he did it, and he couldn't catch one. Handed the rod back to his buddy and goes, "This is what you got to do. You got to keep that thing. As soon as it starts slowing down, boom, and you got to pop it back up. And as soon as it gets around to this sweep, get ready." And he said, it's really hard to tell that they're biting. He said, because there's such a bow in the line.
Yeah.
As soon as you quit feeling that sinker a little bit, you just slow sweep that hook. And that was pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, Epic, that brings up something.
Tournament team too that used to do that. Mark Farrow and Luke Steen, they actually won the Catfish Classic the year that Pro Cats was sponsoring them, and I had met them because they called and whatever, and I fished with them a couple times. And they would go up to certain dams that you could get close to. They'd throw all the way up to the wicket gates, let it fall, and then pop that thing around. And the blues would hit 30s, 40s, 50 pounders almost every time.
That's interesting.
Usually when the water's low and clear on the Mississippi. That was the thing. You can only do it in certain dams. You can't go up to every dam because some of them have, do not line, you can't cross the line and whatever else.
Yeah.
Stan, I don't think Stan has any dams that he deals with. Do you, Stan?
Not really. Not really.
You've got a natural dam.
Yes.
When the flathead season comes in, I hope you guys just destroy the flatheads there, because there'll be days and do 25 to 30 flatheads a day.
Man.
And Sogo brings up a good point there that I want to, reason that I listened to Tim's videos twice. Epic, Professor Catfish, our good friend Tim here, he's, we love that he comes in and he'll talk to everybody and try to help everybody out and give advice. If y'all could do me a favor, go, if you're not subscribed to Epic Catfish yet, the link is out in the description. Show them a little thank you. Just go check the channel out over there. If you like what you see, which I know you will.
Oh yeah.
Hit that sub and put the bell on. That does help out a lot, and I know he would greatly appreciate it.
I would, because my content is not it's not flowing out every week. I just appreciate getting a few more subscribers every week, and that's what I'm going to be able to do for a while. I wish we could be putting out video every 2 a week, but it's just not going to happen for a little bit.
We'll get there.
That's unfortunate, but I'll still stay involved and go on lives and watch people's videos and all that stuff. I love watching people's videos. I try to watch every one that's in my subscription list, and all the time I'm learning new people I can put in my subscription list, because everybody's got cool things that they're doing, they're filming. I just watched Flint Hill's last video, and Flint Hill's last video it's a beauty master. Kayak fishing. It was beautiful. It was interesting. And he caught some decent fish. Just crazy. Stan's lives. I always try to watch them. And I was telling Stan on the phone, I said, Stan 3's got to start filming all that stuff.
Yeah.
Did you tell him that, Stan?
Yep. And I hope he's out there. He's in a 24-hour tournament tonight. I don't know if he's going to be filming because he's focusing on trying to win that thing. But he's got to take pictures. So I hope he's going to be out there doing that. But and it's like 30 degrees here in Virginia, so it's pretty chilly out there right now tonight. And he'll be out there in the 24-hour kayak competition tournament, I should say, 24-hour one. So.
Well, tell Stan 3 I understand, because when I decided to do a YouTube video, it took me plenty of trips to where I'd actually focus on trying to video. I mean, I was all into catching the big fish. I mean, we landed back-to-back 60s, a 58 and a 75, and we didn't get hardly any of it on film.
Yeah. Yep. So I did the same thing. A lot of the best days I've ever had catfishing were before I ever decided to film for YouTube. I wish I could go back and film some of those days that we had, that we were putting big fish after big fish in the boat. And that's what spurred me to start the channel was, hey, this would be cool if we would film this and put it on YouTube. And then like the next week we started filming, we quit catching big fish for like 2 months.
And the funny thing is when you are filming, isn't it so much, you get such a, I don't know, I'm still at that point where it's like you get that big fish on, you actually filmed it and you filmed it right and you got the takedown and you got the fight and the trying to get it in the boat, you got all of it. That just, it like, I don't know if I could say it makes it more exciting, but you get kind of more satisfaction. At least I still am right now. And it doesn't, it could be a 30-pounder, and you're like, yes, I got it on the camera, I got it.
Yeah, and that's my main issue is I'm a fisherman first, and a cameraman is a very distant second.
Yeah,
I'm always messing something up. I'm always hitting the wrong button and turning the mic off by accident. It's a miracle that I go out and get enough film to make a decent video out of it. It's a miracle.
Jeremy, I'm right there with you, because at one time, Sean and I were basically like sailors in the boat. It was a cut word it was like a Scarface movie. And
That's me.
I edited for like 25 hours our first one. And I'm like, Sean, we can't do that because it's just killing me. I'm like, he's like, how are we going to do that? I said, we just remind ourselves. Just keep reminding ourselves. And you know what? It's kind of been a good thing because we don't talk quite like we used to. We used to be, savages out there, just talking about you. I've literally, I was telling the story, sometimes I just reach over and shut the camera off because if I'm in the office and my wife walks in while Sean's telling that story, it'll be disaster.
Yep. I understand completely. And for us, I think it's kind of the opposite. Like I have to warn other people when they come with us fishing. Okay, we need to take it down a few notches. But like as soon as the camera goes off, it all comes pouring out. Like we got to catch up.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, see, and I didn't even really realize because I didn't watch a whole lot of YouTube before I started. I mean, I did watch some, but Sean got me into it, and I didn't realize that it was more like a family TV show. I just thought it was just a bunch of old rednecks watching other rednecks catch catfish, smoking, drinking, and cussing. I didn't know, and so I'm like, but the first one I put out, there were some people that reminded me, hey, the language is rough in this. I'm like, well, I've kind of figured this out now. And I said, we're going to work on that. And we did. And the guy that said that has been a subscriber since day one. And he's always been really, really good. Yeah, I mean, he didn't say, hey, thanks for, cleaning it up. But I was like, it was just a big learning experience.
It is. But it's funny now because, I've got a lot of people that have seen my videos now, and then there are a few people who have talked, like I'm going to use you for an example, who have talked to me on the phone with no cameras are running.
Yeah.
And a couple of y'all are starting to understand I don't talk the same.
Right.
In my videos and I do on the phone. You know what I'm talking about.
You know, though, the videos have actually helped me be less realistic, I guess. They've helped me not cuss as much. They've helped me kind of explain things a little bit simpler and things like that. Because I'm so used to dealing with my, 10 or so friends that have been around me for so long, and that's all I ever really talk to. We all understand what we're saying, but when you get into a new group of people, I just had to make the choice that I was just going to go above board, a nice channel that kids could watch. That was it.
And for me, it's actually the exact opposite for me, because talking to a lot of people is what I do for a living. I train people for a living. I teach classes, and it's a bunch of adults. It's not kids. I'm training people and talking to people, and I'm always that guy in the meetings and everything else. So that part of it, I actually have to remind myself on camera to, hey, you're not in professional mode. Back off a little bit. Let the accent hang out a little bit more. Let I have to tell myself that, because I want to. When I'm in front of the camera, it's like I go into my meeting or training mode to where I unknowingly soften my accent, and I unknowingly. So I just talk that way because I'm used to it when I do my training stuff. So I have to tell myself, hey, it's okay to be a little more Cajun than what I do in my training stuff. It's okay if people can't understand every word I'm saying.
I'm going to address what Parker Pursuits just said. And Stan put it up on the screen, so I with my old eyes, I got to read a little bit of it. Hopefully it's right. But he said something about panicking whether GoPros are on or not. I didn't realize that a GoPro was so... It heats up so easy. It shuts off so easy, especially a chest mounted.
Yeah.
That's on a battery. And during the Super Monster fight, my chest camera went off. And I was just literally panicking, because I was like, are you kidding me? And so my kids, knowing that my camera went off, they actually whipped out their phones. And that actually worked. Phone video is not really that great, but I could at least splice some of it in instead it was just, because otherwise, and we didn't even have a way to turn a GoPro around. It was just stuck on the front deck. And so Connor had to take it off and turn it around and do all that stuff. Now we got swivels. Now we're all fancy. We got like fancy swivels. And my chest camera actually, brings the camera up about here so that I'm not just filming my hands. So it actually gets a rod now, and I think it's a lot more exciting. It's a double-edged sword, because when you walk, it kind of shakes a little bit, But there's a lot to this filming and all this stuff.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Before I tried making movies, I did not realize how hard. You watch a movie before the CGI days. Flint Hill and I were just talking about this today. Last of the Mohicans, which is, as far as I'm concerned, was one of the most beautiful, movies ever shot. Like the scene when they're in the mountains and they were chasing each other. That was pre-CGI. That was pre-drone. Imagine how much camera work and lighting and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I did those articles for those books, and I was actually basically hired to come down there to Lake Cumberland and do the photo shoots for that. They had 9 people. They had guys with reflectors and guys with umbrellas. They had guys with underwater cameras, and they had all this crazy stuff. And just to get photographs. And they were having to do Polaroids to test, and they were doing light tests and all this crazy stuff. And so a lot of people don't realize how much really goes into these videos.
Yeah, and then sometimes, like us, we're doing stuff outside. It's unpredictable conditions. You never know. You may have filmed a whole day of fishing. You get back home, put it on your computer, and then, oh no, this didn't go the way I wanted to. That didn't go the way I wanted to. The film didn't I didn't get that shot. I thought the camera was on. It wasn't. Sometimes you have to be creative and take the footage you have, be a little creative, think outside the box, and still make something with it. Now, and I'll give you an example of that, and you tell me if you caught on to it or not. But the last video I just put out, okay, that one where I took my nephew Blake with me, all of our bumping footage, I took it and I made a little action shot montage with it, backed by music the whole way. There was a very specific reason that two reasons I did that. And it's both that things went horribly wrong. One, at some point, I think it was me, accidentally hit the button on my handheld camera and shut the mic off. No sound in any of it on my handheld camera. The second thing that went wrong is I run two cameras. I run like a handheld and I run my one on my console, what I call my takedown cam. Mm-hmm. The wind was blowing about 20 miles an hour right in our faces. And my console cam, it was solid wind noise. You couldn't even hear us talking. So I had really good video, but no sound, nothing. And I said, I can't dub over this. It's not going to be right. So I'm thinking, oh my God, how do I take all this awesome footage, but with no sound? What do I do with it? Well, I thought outside the box. I made that montage with the music, and I thought, okay, here we go. That's something to salvage some good footage that I thought I wasn't going to get to use. But that's why I did that.
There's only been one video I haven't had to do that same thing to, and that was the cold water one, where Sean and I are at the power plant lake, and it's beautiful, and we're filming birds and doing the thing, and we finally catch fish. That's the only one, because I've never had muffs for the mics.
Yeah,
I've never had a mic. I've never had a whatever. I finally made some that go around my GoPros out of koozie cups that are like the suit material. I finally made some. I cut them and I did the thing, and they just go around. They work well. And then Spencer was in the boat with me, and he's got this nice little fancy one. And he goes, "Dude, these are only like $16." I'm like, "Really?" Now, that Spencer was complete garbage. I mean, it was terrible. I thought I was going to have to scrap it because I started watching the end before I decided to edit this thing. I started watching the end. Well, it was 20 miles an hour. It was just the whole time. It was and luckily, the camera when I had that wasn't filming the people, I took the audio from my chest camera and put it to the other camera that was in the wind. So it took a long time and it was hard, but I was able to salvage it with some music and some things and some montage.
Yeah, exactly.
But can you believe nobody can throw a rope?
What?
Nobody can throw a rope. We did the boat rescue thing, and they threw the rope like 5 times. Like it just all died like a foot. I mean, they threw the, and I'm like, come on, guys, throw the rope. So I had to put a little bit of that in there.
Oh, you just sometimes
those kids would have got locked in because it was like 4 o'clock. The gate locks at 5, and they were all the way to the other side of the lake around the other levee. And so I'm like, oh yeah, we got to go get them. And so we towed them, and I was like, they gave me the short little rope, and watch that. All I would have to do is trim them up just a little bit, and it would have flooded them right off the back of that boat. The jet wash is pretty high.
Yeah.
And, I would have flooded them, so I had to get another length of rope on.
You know what? But even as good as we try to be, even as good as I try to be, and family friendly, and I know my granddaughter's watching everything. Even I have those hot mic situations come up. So there's going to be this.
One time with you, Stan. I saw that hot mic incident.
Yeah.
Stan thinks
it was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
You see,
it was awesome.
What a lot of people don't realize is that I'm this calm, friendly, laughing guy until I'm not.
Right.
And then I.
I just look. All I remember is this. Stan's sitting there. He's got his head down. I forget what he was messing with. He's got his head down like this, and then you hear, "Hey, will you chillax?" And I'm like, yes. Best moment ever. When the calm guy loses it. Awesome.
You're right. Yeah.
I mean, when the hothead loses it, nobody cares.
No.
You know? But when the calm, quiet, happy guy just loses it, oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good day right there.
That's a good thing to remember. So what else you guys want to talk about catfishing here?
Ooh, that's a long list right there.
You know, because I can't see the chat.
Yeah, let's see. I've been kind of trying to keep an eye out there. There hasn't been a lot of questions coming in. Rope throwing challenge should be the new game for anybody going out in the boats. This should be a required. That brings up a good safety point. Do not try boating unless you go with somebody that knows what they're doing. Learn a little bit about it first. Get your safety things down, and then try to go from there. The worst thing you can do is be out there trying to captain a boat. And Epic and I were kind of talking a little bit about this the other night. That when you're the captain of the boat, you're the captain of the boat.
Yeah,
you're responsible for everything happening on there, for every person on there, for everything. So don't go out and be that captain if you're not ready to be it yet. That's
I can throw that rope. I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
It just is one of those things. And I've been on the water enough. I've rescued people from death before. I've rescued people's boats before. I've drug sunken boats to the shore. I've rescued people that went over the top of low-head dams that got caught in the. I dropped a 65-year-old customer off on shore so that I could race up the rapids that you can't see the top of, get up there and rescue him out of that thing. And the firemen were already there, but they didn't have a jet boat to get there. They were lucky they had me. They're like, hey, there's a guy up here. I'm like, I'm on it. So you just do it. My oldest son and I, when he was about 9, we rescued a two-bird that was caught in a log jam in probably 7 to 9 mile an hour current. And the water was this far from going over his mouth and nose. And we just so happened to have seen it. And you couldn't hardly see anything except for the guy's top of his gray hair. And I'm like, what is that? That looks kind of weird.
Wow.
So we went up, and luckily we went up slow because I would have thrown a big weight over him.
Yeah.
It was
I know.
enough to get him in the boat. He was about probably 300. And all of his people he was with were way past him. He was the last one. I think for certain if I wouldn't have been there, he'd have drowned.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he'd have gone under eventually.
Luckily, I've been in the right place at the right time. I've seen body bags on the river, back to the boat ramp on the Mississippi when there's 4 body bags, 2 body bags, all kinds of lights going off. Matter of fact, last time Sean and I were on the river, there was a jumper on the bridge. Somebody jumped off, and there was all kinds of Army Corps of Engineer boats.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, there's a pretty...
That's a great one by Thomas Littlepage. Okay. So they don't have one single sense that they use the most. They actually, depending on the circumstances, will fire up one sense and shut the other ones down. And how do we know this? Because they'll sight feed when it's clear. They'll use almost all smell when it's dark and dingy. They will use their lateral line when finding live baits. They'll use their sense of smell and taste on their body. They will use their electroreceptors up underneath here to find baits that don't have too much of a smell, because it's really advantageous to have live baits. Certain creatures like crayfish, they don't have much of a smell, do they? Creole eats them.
No, not really. No,
they don't really have that much of a smell. Catfish can find them because they can feel the clicking. They know what's going on. So catfish are really kind of superheroes when you really think about it. They're they're even more adept than a shark is. A shark uses vibration, he uses sight, and he uses smell. Yes, but does he use electric perception? Yes, they do. They also use that. But how many taste buds does a shark have on its skin? It doesn't. It doesn't have any. But catfish do. So, they've got everything a shark does, has, and more. They've got the ampullae of Lorenzini. They've got all of the stuff. They've got a really, really defined lateral line. And how we know it's defined is the pores are huge. If you look at other fish, you barely see the pores. But if you look at catfish, you can see them with your naked eye. You can on a bass, you can on a bluegill, but a catfish is, if you look at it in a microscope, not only is it wider, but it's longer. It penetrates really far into that line. Where a bass is only like this. What other sense do they use? I would say that they can see color. I know they can see. At least I know channel cats can. So if channel cats can, why don't blues or why don't flatheads?
Yeah.
But they can see color, and that's not exactly a proven thing when it comes to some other fish. I think bass can see colors. Most predators can, but do chub see color? We don't know. So I mean, they have that extra powerful sensory perception put into one big package that whenever they lose their sight, they still do good, because I mean, they can even have a broken jaw and they still do good. They don't just automatically die. I mean, I've caught catfish with every kind of problem known to man. I mean, I've had them kink back. I've had them with the no whiskers. I've had them with the one eye, the no eyes, the deformed mouth where the bottom jaw comes out. It just looks like a big dumb tongue sticking out. But yet they're still good enough to compete with the other fish because they have those special sensory things. I don't think bass survive with their bottom jaw ripped off. I don't think that they do real good if they're blind. But catfish do.
Interesting.
Oh, and the big super out of all of them that has the biggest probably special feature is the flathead. And the flathead, and I've talked about this before in other shows, it has a very thick, viscous slime coat. It also doesn't get affected by the sun. Somehow it doesn't get tan like a blue cat or a channel cat does. They can spend time up shallow, and it doesn't affect their color. It only affects their hue. So, and something about their slime coat, I've caught flatheads that have bite marks completely down, separating their skin into the meat. And you can tell it's an old wound and it's healing, but it was so severe, most fish would have died, and this thing is still eaten. Many examples of flatheads that just get tore up during that spawn. And blues and channels don't seem to get torn up. They don't fight as much. So they have this special healing capability.
Okay.
So Country Boy Catfishing just asked a great question. Why do catfish change colors depending on depth, water color, and water temp? And I know what he's talking about there, because it seems that catfish, just say you have a channel cat that spends time in 20 foot of water and he never leaves it. In cold water, he will be lighter colored. In warm water, he will be darker colored, but he won't be black or really, really blue, like it as if he was spending time in clear water or up in shallow water. And the reason is, and that's so we took all that out of that equation. So all we're doing is why are they darker in warmer water than cold water if they're in the same habitat without any sun? And that is because, just like us, when it's colder, you tend to focus your warmth and your energy closer to the internal organs. Now, catfish do have a special situation that while they're cold-blooded, they still have an inner core that may be a half a degree or whatever. So a lot of that blood leaves the exterior of the body, like, your hands, or if people get really cold, we look pale. It's almost the same thing in that circumstance. Okay. Now, trying to remember what else he had. Oh, so they're darker. Okay, you got a difference between males and females too. And let's just stick with channel cats. So when a female channel cat gets darker, it gets usually a golder color dark, if you get what I mean. But a male channel cat will develop that darker blue based on sunlight. There's also a thing closer to the spawn, you get male channel cats will develop a blue phase. So you've got the blue phase, which is a hormonal state, like deer. Deer get swollen necks, channel cats get darker in color, because we know they use their eyes a lot, especially during spawn, because there would be no advantage to that. And there'd be no advantage to where that head swells up and gets really, really muscly, and then the body's slim. So take energy from one end, focus the spawn on the head, so that the head is more impressive, the mouth is stronger, and so that they can fight better. They can males better and attract females better. Now we know flatheads do the same thing. We don't know if female flatheads look at flatheads. The only thing we know is that they like that certain cover, so big flatheads have to dominate that so they can procreate. And I'll try to keep this a little less boring. Sorry. What was the other part of that question? So we kind of dealt with the sunlight. We kind of dealt with the cold. Was there another part to that question?
Depth, water color, and water temp.
Okay, water color. Okay, so the dingier is, the less sunlight penetrates. So they're just not going to get as much of a tan. So flatheads seem to lose their brilliance. They go a little bit more pale. And I think that's part of their evolution in their camouflage. Because I think if the water is more chocolatey and they can kind of transform into a less distinct darkness or color, I think it's more of like a chameleon camouflage. And I think it's very primitive, and I think it's very subtle, but I know it's there. Because when the Mississippi gets all and you start catching flatheads, a lot of times they'll be just say like let's just say we're talking about a green brown one. It just won't be quite as dark, but yet you put it in clear water in your boat in the big tank, and it'll darken up like this. It's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Within 15-20 minutes, and it'll do the opposite. Take it from the dark into that, but it's just a few octaves. Just in art, it's just called hue. It's not really color. They didn't change colors. They just changed an intensity or vibrancy. And that's all I know about it.
Okay.
I enjoy CBC's lives, Country Boy Catfishing's lives, because he really talks about stuff, and he's waiting for a bite, but yet he's on there, and he's really just like you do, Stan, and all that. But he's really theorizing about cover and depth and all this stuff, and he fishes in lakes and talking about temperature and barometer and all that stuff. I really love it.
Yeah, he does an awesome job. This isn't really a question. It's just something that I wanted to caught out there. Park Pursuits. Exactly why you don't handle gas or anything off-putting before going fishing.
Yeah.
Even suntan lotion. And somebody said I run fish oil on my hands before fishing.
I always stick my hands in the mud.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong about any of that stuff. If I get gas on me, which if you ever saw how they rigged up my gas tank, it's a mess. I'm not even going to go down that road, but I often get gas on my hands. So I will go soap and water. I believe in that.
Well, and another thing with that suntan lotion, the gas, all that kind of stuff, bug spray, all that is can be solvent and will mess up your monofilament. It gets on there and that'll cause a weak spot in your line on top of putting the fish off also.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And not only that, it stinks in the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. He said they did a study showing trout in the middle of a stream. They dumped human urine in the middle of the stream up from the trout, and they instantly went towards the bank.
That's just because trout are snooty.
Oh, wow.
Catfish don't care. They're just like, yeah.
Epic, the thing that I always am amazed by is you said one time the sense of smell, the sense of the ability of the catfish to sense smell or sense was how many times more than a human?
So a dog smells 600 times. Their sense of smell is 600 times that of a human.
Yes.
a catfish is 1,000 times that of a dog.
Crazy. It just yeah, so that's why I definitely do the hand thing, and I don't want any of that on there. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said, I always ride before I get in the boat to go. Before I leave the landing, I always stick my hands in the mud.
Yep.
Get that stuff on my hands, rinse it off, good to go.
You guys all know somebody that no matter what, they never catch fish. I've always had a guess about that. I know people that if they touch it, if they touch that bait, if they cast that rod, they will never catch a fish. Never have, never will. I do the same thing. We catch fish. And I'm not saying that I'm magical or anything, but I might not have one of those biochemistries that warns fish that there's a weird scent on it. I don't know. I mean, it's just a weird guess. But, I mean, I do. My dad's one of them. He couldn't catch fish, save his life. I mean, he can catch bass and bluegill and whatever, but to put him next to me in a catfish boat and have him throw out and bait stuff, it just doesn't really work very well. He's probably watching right now, so yeah, I'll hear it tomorrow.
Yeah, you're gonna get it now.
Yep.
So we have any other Willow says Willow says, I don't believe it. Because when someone's having a barbecue, I can smell that thing from miles away.
Well, then catfish can smell that from 16,000 miles away in water.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we all know that water conducts smells and sound more condensed. It does. You know, so, and that's probably part of their advantage over us as far as our sense of smell. Actually, as creatures go, we have one of the worst sense of smell that there is. We're terrible. Ours, it's terrible. I mean, I bet a field mouse has a better sense of smell than we do.
Yeah, and water is obviously a better conductor than air. Just look at you want to thaw something quickly. What do? You run it in water.
Except my wife. My wife, greatest sense of smell ever.
You never know, Thomas, if they were talking about the smell of cigarette causes. Some people even worry about the sense of cigarettes on the.
I've never noticed that, but maybe. I mean, all things are worth taking in consideration, and if you believe in it, that's half the battle. I mean, if you
that's true. We've talked about that.
And you're superstitious about this, or it's just something you don't want to do because, hey, maybe it's going to affect them. There's nothing wrong with it. Try not to tell everybody else what I think. If I've got a superstition, I don't try to tell them, hey, never do this or never do that. I just say, yeah, there's either something to it or there's not.
Yeah.
Here's a good one from Country Boy. What makes fish of the same species prefer different forms of cover? Some like wood, some like rocks, some like docks with darkness, some like ledges, etc.
100% instinct. That is a product of evolution. This is how I believe it. And not everybody's going to, but I believe that there is a creator and he created all things. So that as everything changes, so that things could work, there is a certain bunch of evolution. And I'm a science guy. So you can't go into science in college and say, I believe that God did it and the ark and all this stuff. You still have to say, okay, if there is an overall designer of life, you have to accept the fact that, hey, they're going to have to be able to change unless the earth is in a capsule and it will never change. We know it has changed in climate and gravity and all kinds of things in the past. So, of course, you're going to have certain fish prefer certain habitats. You see it on land too. I mean, the wild dogs don't like to hang out really where the monkeys live, and the monkeys don't really like to hang out where the turkeys live. You know what I'm saying? So you may have a situation just because they've hashed it out over millions of years. The channel cats tend to kind of get away if channel cats are in a river where there's no blues, they will act almost exactly like a blue. They'll hang out in deep water. They'll go up shallow to spawn. They'll do all that stuff. But put blues in there, and channel cats all of a sudden aren't found in that deep water and that deep water cover. Put flatheads where channel cats are, and all of a sudden you have to have a certain depth, and you'll go into pieces of cover, and there won't be a channel cat one in it. But get into the unacceptable depth and current speed for a flathead, and all of a sudden you've got channel cats. Blues and flatheads somewhat overlap, but I think a blue can stand up for itself a little bit more than a channel cat for a longer period of time, and I think a flathead can dish out more punishment, and so they kind of have a little truce. If they interact, there may be a little squabbling going on, but they're like, you know, where a flathead and a channel cat in a spawning territory will die if a flathead decides that is his domain. Because the channel cat is nothing but food to a flathead. And actually, everything is nothing but food to a flathead. It just depends whether you can eat it or not.
Yeah. If he can get it in his mouth, it's food.
Yep. How many flatheads have you guys caught that have been in the mouth of another flathead all the way up to the dorsal fin? I've caught bunches of them. And
I've never had that happen.
30-pound fish.
Wow.
I will guarantee if I get a chance to fish this summer, you guys will see 20 and 30-pound fish that I can prove have been in another flathead's mouth all the way up to the dorsal fin. Usually the dorsal fin stops them. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's obvious. It's not just a guess. It's like the imprint, and it's also got the tooth pads. You know, the back tooth pads in the throat?
Mm-hmm.
They'll be right on top of the eyeballs almost. That's
wow.
That's flatheads for you. And
now you think that's because he was trying to eat him, or was he just trying to run him off?
Both.
Both. Yeah, could be both.
It can be all three. I mean, they are so aggressive at times. Sometimes they're so docile, you never know that they were mean. But then you get that water heated up, and you get that, all those hormones going about the spawn and all this stuff, and they start, I mean, if they had hooves, they'd be pawing the ground. I mean, these things are crazy. And they will literally try to eat each other. They'll try to oppress each other. I had a set of flatheads that were all from the same nest, and I had them for about 4 months. And out of four of them, they're all the same size when I got them. They're about that long. And one of them basically dominated the other ones until he outgrew them all and ate the rest of them.
Wow!
Wouldn't let him eat. He would pester him. He would eat the most. He would be aggressive, and maybe a female. I don't know, but it was crazy. Now, if I would have had him in a much bigger tank, he wouldn't have been able to do that. But it was a smaller environment. It was probably a 55-gallon aquarium, and he did. He outgrew his tank mates and ate them. And he ate them before they would even fit all the way down his throat. He ate one that was still hanging out his throat for 2 or 3 inches, and then he ate the next one, and then he ate the next one, and it just got a little shorter every day until it was gone.
Wow.
Yeah. And it wasn't that I didn't keep them fed either. That was pure aggression, because I could feed them as much as I wanted to. That was just domination, aggression, and
just aggression and eliminate your competition.
Yes. Yeah, they are self-limiting fish, more than channel cats and more than blues. That's why I promote releasing more flatheads, because they're already self-limiting. Yeah. If you want big flatheads, don't take any flatheads out. And I know this. If you want big flatheads in your river, if you take any of them out, you run the risk of taking those big aggressive fish out that limit the population so that it doesn't become stunted, and B, you may eliminate the ones that have the ability, the genetics, and the disposition and the aggression to grow so much faster and dominate everything else. Start taking the big ones out, and guess what? You're left with a whole bunch of nobodies.
Yeah. And Country Boy, I just want to add on to that just a little bit, that question there. I don't think it's the fish liking the spot better. I think it's the spot that makes the fish like it better. There's some other, it's not just the wood that's there. It's what depth it's in, it's what current, it's what bait's available. And, the conditions will change. That same fish that loved wood, well, the water conditions are now different. The current changed, whatever, the bait moved. Now they're going to go to rock. because that rock is now more in their comfort zone. It's what the current. It's got the right depth. You know, it's going to change as the waters change. So I don't think it's a fish preferring, you know, wood or this or that. It's going to look for the spot that it is comfortable in the most. So regardless of what form of cover it is.
Yep. And Country Boy Catfishing hit it on the head. He basically said, some like wood, some like rocks, some like docks with darkness, and some like ledges. Now I would substitute docks because we don't have many docks on the Mississippi, but we do have barges. So that's overhead cover. That is darkness. So he kind of laid out just in that question what people should be going through as far as their patterns. So, you know, and you'll hear me say it on videos if I get a chance to do it. Like I said, I get my boat fixed and I get my life straightened out. But let's just say I'm going to go into a shallow water river and I'm going to first look at some deep because that's what I got first. Then I'm going to look at some rock. And then I'm going to look at some faster water. Then I'm going to look at some wood. So they're either on the wood, they're in the depth, they're in the big rocks, or in, you know, or even in the current funnels. But just those four things, if somebody focuses on those and moves through that pattern fairly fast, then they're going to be likely on fish, almost no matter what they do. Rocks, wood, ledges, deep, dark. Pretty simple way of doing it. And, you know, I complicate things because I got so much science going on in here, you know, and I've seen things. It's really hard to explain it simply so that somebody who hasn't, you know, been in all the situations and maybe not even recognizing, maybe not even care. They're just going out there for a weekend. I got to remind myself to stay a little bit more simple. So by doing that, I'll probably remember it. All right, so Stan, I'm going to ask you guys questions now. How about that?
Okay. Oh.
All right. So Stan, now you've been through the summer, you've been through the winter. Were you on fish? Were you fishing for blues in the absolute pre-spawn spring last year?
No.
Okay.
No. Stan was. I wasn't. No.
Okay. All right. So you are going to learn that is a distinctive difference on the James and almost any other river during that early pre-spawn to the height of the pre-spawn to when they're actually spawning, and then the dead period that you get after that. So that's going to be interesting to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So Creole,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about bumping.
Yep.
Now, bumping versus anchoring on your stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the nature of what you're doing in the environment that you're doing it, which do you think has the best opportunity to specifically target fish? Do you think bumping or anchoring or basically what's called ledgering? Bigger fish consistently bumping or ledgering?
I'll say bumping. I'll say bumping. If you take every fish I've caught bumping and average the weight, that weight is a lot higher than I have on anchor ledgering like that. Now, I think that's because of where I'm bumping. I know for a fact that big fish concentrate in that area. The only way I can fish it effectively is to bump it. You know, so I'm not going to say it's the method that's producing the bigger fish. It's I'm able to fish big fish water because of bumping. So, you know, it's a little bit of a double-sided answer, but that's where it's at.
Great answer. And I think every guy that bumps should have a version of that based on what they can do on their water. Now, Stan, I'm going to ask you. Now, I realize that you guys like to catch big fish, but I realize also that is not the only thing you're trying to do. And I think both numbers and big fish is a goal of yours when you're on shore. But Stan 3 is on a monster hunt. I like that because that kind of hits home where I'm at. But my question is, he's got a boat of some sort, I thought, or is he only got a kayak?
We had the boat, the motor is gone. So
Okay.
right now, kayak. He's kayak and I'm bank.
All right. And I realize it can be done in a kayak, especially in the James. But it does eliminate the lure, you guys, because it is not really that safe to be clear the heck out there on a kayak trying to catch 80, 90-pound fish. I realize that. And, it makes it too tough at night, too, because you got a lot more barge traffic down there. You got a lot more boats flying around. They can't see kayaks very good. It's just not smart. So what is your plan to make sure your YouTube channel competes with the rest of us that are going to catch big fish this summer?
Well, plan for that. Number one, we're working on trying to get a boat situation straightened out. So that's number one. Number two, I got a lot of friends with boats. So, but as far as that, we have some spots that there's maybe not where I'm going to be on the bank and maybe going for numbers and stuff to keep the excitement in there. Stand 3 on the kayak and be out on the same live like we've done before. Awesome. And he may go up river and target some of the flatheads and whatnot that are up in the current upriver from the James. So we're going to have 2 different situations going on at the same time, and that's kind of where our plans are moving forward.
Nice. Now, if he's going to target flatheads, my next question is, do you guys have a bait tank that you can go catch white perch and keep them in that bait tank? Because when you're targeting flatheads, especially if you're going to go day after day, the only thing going to hold you back is the availability of bait, and you can't really buy it. You got to catch it. You got to keep it so that you've got 30, 40, 50 baits every time. I mean, that was my big challenge. That's why I have a 1,000-gallon bait tank. And it sounds like a big expensive thing. It's not. I got given a pool filter. I used a 150-gallon trough to make a biological filter, which only costs, the insides. It's activated carbon, charcoal, and it is basically that blue furnace floss. And it's all put together in like a plastic grate that I just put together and shove in there. So everybody's had an aquarium where the tube sucks it up and puts it through one side. It goes little filter thing, that little blue filter, and then it pours it back into the tank. That's all it is. So I could keep 500 to 600 bluegills alive for months at a time in that, even in the hot water. Okay. Because it had so many gallons and it changed it over so much. And I bought the bacteria in a bottle, whatever. But you can go on a smaller scale. You can look up all kinds of stuff. Are you guys looking into getting a bait tank?
I guess we are now. As of yet, no. We've got a couple of small aquariums that we've used. We've got a bunch of the bubblers and things like that. But as far as long-term live bait storage, no. We've just we had mainly focused on short-term live bait storage, I guess.
Now, I'll tell you what I used to do, because I couldn't take I could not take my big tank to the river when I stayed there weeks at a river, and I just slept in the boat. So what I would do is I would take a cooler in the back of my truck with an aerator. It's just a converter and a big aerator with a big long bar. And I would put 250 bluegills in that thing because they only had to stay in there an hour until I got to the river. Then I got my Floetrol buckets, and I put 25 in each Floetrol bucket. And then I put a rock in it and a line. And then I would tie them to tree roots on the bank and remember where they were and hide them so that I could go up and down the river and always have fresh bait, because I would go through an average of 50 bluegills a day. And so, I get lucky every once in a while and just do, 20 or whatever, or maybe it was 25, but a lot of times I'd need 50 to complete a trip. Now, if they were, if that's the only thing they were biting. If they were bite cut bait or live shad, it would be a lot easier on me. So I could, do half bluegills and half whatever, and they would last me. But I would need to bring a couple hundred bluegills to the river if I planned on staying in 7 days. So that's another solution, Stan, because if if you have access to where you would think you could hide some without somebody finding it, that's
Yeah.
I don't know how well those white perch will do.
We've got one of those. We've got one of those coolers with the sump pump and the PVC that comes up with the
okay,
the holes on the PVC.
I'm not a big fan of those. I had them for years. The key to that, the key
Cold.
to me keeping live baits. If I'm using them in like a large cooler, I bought a new one. It's out on I bought a new one before I didn't think I could spend any more money. But anyway, it's, I don't know, 148 quart or whatever. All I do is take aquarium line and I just pipe it right in there. And I just buy like a $20 aquarium pump that plugs right into the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I buy an air stone that costs like $3.
Yep.
So the air stone, I take a piece of metal and I silicone that down and it just goes in there. The key though is keeping the water cool and keeping it changed. Now I'm lucky, I have got well water. You may not have well water if you live in town. And that's a little bit tougher. There's some additive you can buy. I know guys that do additive you can buy. Or if you know somebody that lives out in the country, you can change water like that. But some people don't even have trucks, so that's a little hard. If you're just in a car, I remember you going from spot to spot and you're throwing all your rods in the car, hanging out the window, driving it. It was pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. But we've got a lot of those things at the pumps and stuff for the house. It was more for when we bring it out there. We've got a bunch of those portable bubbler.
Yeah.
Say a bunch, probably like 5 or 6.
And the PVC one, it tends to clog up. It gets I went through. That's all. I didn't think of it as an aquarium pump before. Once I started doing that, I almost never lost bait. I'd always have to check it. I'd check the bucket, check the thing. It's clogged. I got to rinse out the filter, all that stuff. There's nothing about that I have to deal with now. And like I can start out with clean well water and I can have 50 or 60 bluegills as long as I change the water on them. Like I can't go catch them that day, throw them in there and expect to do well because they have all the excrement and all the scales and all the puke and all of the acid and all the proteins going in the water. But if I can change that water once, it's called cleaning them out. And that's what the striper guys do with all their baits. That's what everybody else does. So it's once they're cleaned out, they'll last a month as long as I look at them, change the water, do the thing. So that, and bait was a huge thing for me because when I was young, I didn't have money to do it, or I didn't think I had money to do it, and you couldn't just go find things like that. Aquarium pumps are little tiny things back in the day, and it just didn't work. I filled 2 55-gallon drums. Yeah.
With spring water for his time.
Yeah.
1 ton, Art from 1 ton, they have a live bait storage in the.
Yeah. Now, Stan, big donkey suckers alive, I gotta refrigerate the water. So I gotta have a freezer with a thermostat, with a biological filter, with a way to change the water out of it. So there's a pond pump and the thing. It looks like a contraption off of a science movie. It's got stuff hanging and going everywhere. But it works. It works for chubs and it works for big suckers. Because big suckers, once they get warm, they don't do too good.
Right.
You have the cleanest water in the world, they'll still die on you. The big, 5-pound suckers.
Here's another question from Country Boy, and I want to take a shot at this one.
Okay.
See what you think. It says, what makes blues more aggressive than channels and flathead as far as territory? And from what I've seen and what I've heard, your flatheads are going to be the most aggressive as far as territory. They're going to protect their territory. When the water starts dropping, when things start happening, they're the ones that are going to fight to hold on to that spot. Now your blues they're going to be more out in the current and more out kind of in the open territory, but they'll still kind of get rid of the channel cats. And the kind of channel cats, like Epic has said before, they kind of got to adapt to kind of go around and find their own little spots. So they're obviously the least aggressive of that, and that's why you have a better chance of sometimes if you're trying to target channel cat for like a tournament or things like that, I think that's where some of those other off kind of baits work a little better for specifically channel cats, if that's what you're looking for. But they're kind of opportunity. They got to make the best of every opportunity they can to channel cats. So that would be my answer to that.
Okay, so I'm going to do a stand on the Stan's Tim answer. So if you think about channel cat like the dingoes, and you think about flatheads like the lions, lions like their territories. They like to control their territories. The little wild dogs, they're ferocious when they come in, but they can't hold that. They can't dominate that. So they've evolved to kind of live on the fringe of that, but yet be very successful in numbers and aggressiveness. But there's just certain things that they won't do because they can't do it. They cannot. Channel cat cannot fight a flathead. I can attest to that. A 5-pound flathead killed my 8-pound channel cat in one night. Skinned him alive. It was a
Wow.
thing. That channel cat was like a pet of mine. I mean, he would wag his tail and I could feed him and all this stuff. And he was a giant, massive albino, and I thought, man, he can finally hold his own to this flathead. Yeah, he was dead one night.
Wow.
But yes, Stan, you're 100% correct.
Well, look at there.
Yeah, see? That
All right.
means we're learning stuff.
I got another question for you. So you're going to pour some big donkey weights.
Yep.
And you're going to pour them a little differently than me because you've got some things you got to deal with. Is there any plan to upsize your leader lines and go after fish in those sunken barges?
I'm gonna have to. In those certain situations, yes, I'm gonna have to upsize the leader line quite a bit, which luckily for me is not a problem. They sell a lot of saltwater tackle. You know, I can go to Walmart where I work at and get 200-pound leader line.
Well,
You know, a lot of saltwater.
These days you can get anything you want on Amazon. If you want 400-pound test, aircraft wire, you can get it. If you want 200-pound test, whatever, and the cripper and the cripping tool and anything, you want to get it.
Yep.
But I'm thinking that this is going to be a great year, at least for the people that can fish a lot, because I think you guys are doing some new things. Stan's doing some new things. You're doing some new things. There's other people doing some new things that are pretty darn exciting. Now, they're not always going to pay off because, I mean, I fished big, deep, sunken barges.
Yeah.
I've been skunked before, but I've also caught some super monsters in.
Yeah.
And I know you will if it's got the right current and you hit them at the right times. I would advise whatever you think is your pre-spawn down there in that period, you should probably try to flathead fish that if you can, if you want to, because flatheads even more than blues, and you may catch blues while you're flathead fishing on those sunken barges. But the likeliness, gigantic flatheads, the biggest in the river, the biggest anybody's ever seen in your pool, living on sunken barges is huge because I've proved it over the time.
Yeah, and that's really what's changed the past year for me is I stopped thinking the old way of, well, let me find a place that's comfortable for me to fish and let's see if some fish are there. Now I'm finding the fish, and I just got to figure out a way to get bait to them. And usually it's some tough conditions. Usually.
Hey, and I've fished places where it's almost impossible to anchor, and I've had to go to the shore, drop a rope, that tie off to a tree, and then tie off to a little piece of a sunken barge over here. I've had to climb up a dam wall and actually anchor onto that dam wall. I've had to do the illegal stuff like tie off directly to a barge that's in service. I've had to do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
They don't like it if they catch you. They'll go,
no,
it's highly illegal. They'll get on their that's highly illegal. Hey, didn't we tell you that last week? Go,
no, I don't know.
No, it wasn't me with the big white motor and the giant rods. No, it wasn't me.
No, no, it wouldn't be. It's some other guy.
Those same barge guys, when you catch a big fish, they're honking the horn and hollering and waving and talking to you. So it's just one of those things. If you're respectful, they will usually let you break rules a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. And I've always had the idea of keeping a 250-pound magnet in my boat and using that to stick to the side of a barge and tie a rope on instead of having to use their anchor cleat. I've thought about it many times.
Right, I would. Yeah. Matter of fact, get two, because at
Yeah.
the end of the barge, you won't be able to sit like you want to sit. You'll end up going sideways and then going back and forth. So if you got two fish out of the side of your boat, oh, that'd be awesome.
Yep, I have put a lot of thought because my wife, for some reason, my wife wants to get into. She's very interested in the magnet fishing, finding stuff. Yeah. I'm like, that's a really good excuse to go buy those big magnets that I want for those barges. So that's my window of opportunity right there.
Yeah, I mean that's why I like you and Stan. You guys are thinking outside the box, thinking about how to solve problems. I got a friend of mine. He's a great fisherman. He's not on YouTube or anything like that. His name's John, and he says his common thing is like, "Hey, I'm a problem solver. I'm not a problem maker. I solve problems. That's what I do."
That's it.
He's done it with walleye. He's done it with flatheads. He's done it with all this stuff, and that makes truly great fishermen. The problem is, with me, I got so much crap in my boat that I need a bigger boat because I've got this invention, I've got that invention, I got the bumper sticking out of the side of my boat.
Yep.
I got a skipjack net. I got a moon eye net. I got rods. I got everything going, and there's just a lot of junk in there. But you know what? I deal with it.
Well, that's what got me thinking about it, because one time we were out fishing with Dad, and man, the wind was blowing and the current was blowing us all over the place, and I'm just trying to get on. I knew the fish were there. I had marked them, but I'm trying to get my boat set up where we could fish them. And I was like, man, why don't we go somewhere else and get out of this current and get out of this wind? And I said, Dad, that's not where the fish are at. I'm not worried about me being comfortable. Yep. I said, if the fish are there, I just got to find a way to fish them. Because I said, if we are that comfortable to fish it, the fish probably ain't there.
Nope.
I have never had a lot of luck fishing somewhere where it was easy to fish. I never have.
No, I have in certain circumstances wherever the stars are aligned and the spot, the current's just right. You got no wind blowing you sideways or upriver.
That hasn't happened to you yet.
A lot of times it's chin into the wind, and it's grit your teeth and get it done.
Yeah, find a way. Yeah,
there's a lot to be said for that. I don't know. I guess that grizzly mentality of I'm gonna catch fish no matter what. That separates some people from, and I'm not saying I'm the greatest fisherman in the world, but I'm a tenacious fisherman.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get me off the water. I mean, I've got to be either miserable or I got to have people that have to get off the water before I really want to get off the water. Because I don't. I mean, it's either I have to go to work or I'm not getting off the water. It's terrible. I'll stay all night. I have scraped the shad guts aside in the bottom of my boat and just slept in the, and covered up with my life jackets and stuff. I mean, just stupid stuff like that. Now, I don't tend to do that as much anymore because I'm hopefully smarter than that, but sometimes I'm dumber than
that. Yeah. I mean, I had a look. A good friend of mine went to high school with him. He was a hog. He was a Marine Corps sniper, and he had a really good saying that I used to love. He said, "You know how they define a good sniper? That's kind of like a good fisherman. Not the guy who can shoot the best, who can shoot the longest. It's the guy that no matter what, no matter the conditions, he makes the shot."
Yep.
That's sometimes that's what you got to do. You just got to find a way to make the shot.
And I've been down to my last anchor at 3:30 in the morning more than once and triumphed with a humongous fish or two, 3 back to back. I mean, when against all odds, against all whatever, and you just go, man, I'm sticking it out. And I got the nickname of Captain Ahab when that started to go on back when my friends used to fish with me a lot. And they're like, oh my gosh, the bite's tough. We're going to be here till 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, it wasn't as much of a problem to me because I could be home by 5:30. They lived in Chicago, and they wouldn't be home till like 9 the next day.
Yeah.
But it was a driven person, and I'm like, well, and we were all younger then, so they kind of.
That's right.
They into. All right, Stan, zoning out. What do you want to talk about, Stan?
Well, I was gonna say, looks like questions were kind of wrapping up a little bit about out there. I was probably gonna start shutting it down unless
How many people we got in there?
we're at 30 now. We're down to 30.
That's still not too bad considering a 3-hour live.
Yeah.
That's piece of cake. So,
Yep.
You want me to draw up an interesting conversation? Or do we want to shut it down? What do you want?
Well, I tell you what, guys, I'll make the call. I got a 8-year-old that I gotta go put to bed. Whatever interesting conversation you've got, remember every week. Yeah, every week. I know my time. It's a 7:45, 8:45. Weekly segment. We're gonna have our epic advice of the week, and we're always gonna have a good conversation for everybody in chat. I can guarantee that.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, it's been fun. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Always appreciate it, Tim. Thank you very, very much.
Just hang on there, Tim. Creole, anything you want to go over before we get off the air?
I'm good. I mean, it's everybody. It's a holiday. Enjoy the holiday. Remember what the holiday is all about. Spend time with your families. I know that's what I'm doing tomorrow, and hopefully I'll have a lot of the catfishing family along with me for some of. We go ball some crawfish tomorrow.
So write this down. Jeremy got tired of talking.
Oh, hey, you know what? I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one.
I'm ready to be done.
I'll give you that one.
There it is.
Good one.
Y'all, what time is that tomorrow, Creole? People are already looking forward to it.
4 o'clock Central. I guess that would be 5 o'clock Eastern, right?
Yep.
I got my time zone thing right. Yeah.
Yeah.
4 o'clock Central. We are going live.
So for those that aren't, sub to my good brother Creole there. Out in the description is his link. Please help my brother out there. Make sure it's sub to him. We got Epic's link is also down in the description.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please go over there.
Get out from under your rock and go subscribe.
Damn. Not everybody likes big fish, cool music, and funny stuff.
But we don't like any of those people. No.
So you got Creole tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. You got Mike Greenwell with Chris Souders. You don't want to miss the show.
Yes.
Palmetto Cats Sunday night, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Avid and Katie from the bank right after that, and then start back out on Monday night again with Catfish Weekly. With why is that coming to me? Oh yes. Stan 3 and I, the guests on Catfish Weekly Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. Make sure you send into that. And then right after that, you got Catfish and Crappie's going to have another awesome show.
Yes.
So appreciate everybody being out there. Thank you all for being part of Two Stans family. Creole Catfishing and Epic. Thank you all for being out there.
I'm pretty sure I'm on Kelly's live show on Tuesday.
Yes.
Ooh.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
And we're going to
what's in your
about the donkey weights and some rigging and some special stuff. I mean, I've always liked Kelly, just like you guys. Pretty much the moment I met him, I was like, yeah, he's awesome.
So that's so y'all that check out the Bullock Experience. It's What's in Your Tackle Box. It's Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern, I believe. So y'all can check that out. Epic is the guest this week in What's in Your Tackle Box. So
Awesome.
Again, y'all have a great night. Thanks for coming in. We'll see y'all next Friday night, 8 p.m. Have your questions ready, and we'll have another great show. See y'all later.
Bon appreciate everybody.